Pandey, coordinator of this workshop, welcomes you all on behalf of Research Department of Dr. G.D.POL Foundation, YMT Ayurved Medical College, Hospital and Research Institute. First, I would like to welcome our respected guest speaker, Dr. Savrika sir, our Dean, Dr. Sanjeev Yadav sir, our Vice Dean, Dr. Ninad Sathe sir, all the respected teachers, PhD students, and PG students. Today, as a part of our research and innovation teaching, we are organizing this workshop on writing research grants. We, Dr. G.D.POL Foundation, YMT Ayurved Medical College, Hospital and Research Institute is working dedicatedly for our vision and mission of innovation, healthcare, education and research under the super dynamic leadership of our respected chairman, Dr. G.D.POL sir, our Dean, Dr. Sanjeev Yadav sir, our Vice Dean, Dr. Ninad Sathe sir. We have our UG, postgraduate fellowship and PhD courses, which aims to inculcate the environment of ethical teaching, learning, and research. Research is most integral part of all the developments. So Ayurveda has very promising future in world of healthcare and which will be more appreciated if we practice on research platform. So about today's workshop is about writing research grants. Grants is very crucial. Grants is also a very crucial part in research. We have to approach different granting or funding agencies. Many things are necessary to apply for research grants, like good background research, appropriate study designs, methodology, and other things. Today, we are here to learn how to apply and how to write for research grants. And for this, we have a well-reputed and very knowledgeable guest, Dr. Savrika sir. Sir is a well-known personality to all of us, as he is also a member in our institutional ethical committee. Now, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Savrika sir. Dr. S. Savrika sir is a PhD in Rasashastra. He is a former professor in R.A. Poddar Medical College, Mumbai. He currently he is a chairman, scientific body, Pharmacopoeia Commission of Indian Medicine and Homeopathy. He was advisor in Ministry of Ayush. So advisor in Minister of Education, Medical Education, Maharashtra. He has total teaching experience of around 40 years and administrative experience of advisor in Government of India, New Delhi. He was also Vice Chancellor at Gujarat Ayurved University, Jamnagar, Gujarat. He was nominated as a member in different government and non-government bodies like governing body, Central Council of Research in Ayurvedic Sciences, member of court in BHU Varanasi, member of Management Council in MUHS Nashik, Maharashtra, member of Faculty of Ayurveda in BHU Varanasi, India. He was also member of Scientific Advisory Committee Gujarat Ayurved University, Jamnagar. And he is honored and felicitated with many awards like Varadekar Award for Social Work and Research in Medicine. He received a Sundarlal Joshi Award for Outstanding Performance in Administration in Field of Ayurveda. Also received Award of Excellence in Ayurveda, National Award 2013. Received by the D.V. Shende Rasaushadhi Award in 1997. Pranacharya degree by Shri Indraprasthya Vaidya Sabha, Delhi. He is honored with Ayurved Marthand by All India Ayurvedic Specialist Association, New Delhi. Got Sanman Patra by Ayurved Vyaspith, Maharashtra at Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. And also received late Hirendranath Dattagupta Memorial Oration, 2007. So now I would like to invite Sir, and I request him to please start the session. Sir, please. They must have made some post. Yes, it is there. Sir. Hello, sir. Video. Hello. दोन मिनिट सर स्टार्ट करता है.
हॅलो जाई.
येस सर मी आहे. येस सर प्लीज सुरू करा.
प्रिलिमिनरी झालंय सगळं.
हो सगळं इंट्रोडक्शन वगैरे सगळं झालं फॉर्मल सगळं. प्लीज यू कॅन स्टार्ट विथ द लेक्चर.
ओके फाइन. जस्ट वेट, लेट मी शेअर माय स्क्रीन फर्स्ट, देन आई विल स्टार्ट. Screen. स्क्रीन दिसतोय का तुम्हाला?
येस सर. येस सर स्क्रीन दिसते.
फाइन. ठीक आहे. Okay, fine. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Today's topic, as you all know, is about writing for research grant. And for my friends, this topic is for those people who want to submit their research proposals for getting the grants. This topic is not for the people who are just entering in the world of research or who are just being introduced to the research. I assume that the people attending, I know that many of the students are also there who are freshers who are just entered in taking admission to the MD. Some people are in PhD, doing PhD. Of course, PhD candidates are well aware about the nitty-gritties of the research field, but MD students are not that much aware. So this particular subject is for those who are already in the field of research. They just want, they have some projects in their mind and they want the project to be sponsored by somebody, by some funding agency. So this is actually this is a intriguing issue, how to obtain the grants. Many times people say that so many granting agencies are there, we should approach them. Many times we don't know exactly which are the granting agencies, whether they will support or not, how much grant they will be giving, what will be their conditions. All these things always creep up in our mind whenever we are thinking about getting grant. Many times people are to the students and the other people, they say that why you are not doing research? Research doesn't require any grant at all. You just require your willingness should be there to do the research. That's all what is required for the research. And they just give examples that so many people have done research without any grant at all. So this is true. It's of course true, but it doesn't mean that research doesn't require grant. Research of course requires certain money is of course required for doing the research as well. But whenever you are asking money to somebody, it's very important to know this, because I have been working on many of the research committees, particularly the granting committees, the committees which were screening the proposals of these research proposals, even the final granting committees also. I was a member of the final granting committee. I have chaired many committees which allotted the grants. So through this work, I came to know what are the problems about the research workers, how the people are designing the research, and what are the deficiencies on the research proposals which we come across. Many times it is also found that after allotment of the grants also, the research projects are not completed. They are left, incomplete research proposals are left, work is left incomplete. Many times people say that their work is completed, but they don't, their work doesn't complete the requirements. What are the targets which they have set? Those targets are also not fulfilled. So such problems always come across. And what happens once you get the research grant and you say that you have completed the research project, but the agencies which are allotted to the research project, they are not satisfied with your research proposal. In that case, what happens? Next time you cannot get any research grant at all, because your previous experience will count whenever you are submitting a research proposal for a second time or a third time. So because the history is always asked, what was your earlier research proposal, whether you have completed any research proposal, whether you have received any grant, how you have spent the grant, what were the results of that proposal. All these things are always asked whenever the grant is being given. Just remember very well, my friends, that you are spending money. It's somebody's money. Think about your own money. For example, you are going in a market to buy something, and you pay the money and then buy this particular thing. After buying them, you are not satisfied with that whatever material you are getting. You are very upset that I have spent so much money and I am not getting what the rewards for my money. You are upset because it's your money which is being spent. So just remember very well that you are sitting in a chair, you are giving some money for a research grant, and if the work is not completed, what will happen? So this thought usually doesn't come to our mind whenever you are applying for a research grant or whenever getting a research grant and we are spending the research grant. So these things are very important, my friends. So on this background or on this note, I will just give you some, tell you certain things which are very necessary, which are when you are applying for the research grant and we are spending that research grant, as to how to proceed for your research work whenever you are getting a research grant as well. So during this lecture, I will also give you some example, and in the last few minutes, I will also tell you one of the research scheme, which is related to Ayush, particularly the Ayush ministry. They have their own research scheme. So their proposal, how to fill up that proposal, all those things we will be discussing. Also, I will tell you certain agencies which are ready to give the research grant as well. So with this background, let me start today's lecture. Now, the first thing, whenever you come across, you are planning that I'm going to apply for a research grant. You are in your mind that you are thinking, I want some research grant. So the first thing is a request for the application. Now, one thing is sure, my friends, actually, ideally, I will tell you, this doesn't happen always, or many times it doesn't happen at all. But ideally, you should have some research project in your mind. Maybe very gross, may not be very accurate, Maybe some gross thinking is there in your mind that I will be working on this particular area. This is a very potential area where research is required. And you have some hazy thoughts about that about that research work. Some area might be there in your mind that, okay, I'm going to work on PCOD. And you might be having some therapy in your mind for the PCOD. And very gross thinking is there. And you come across some advertisement regarding request for applications. There people are asking, inviting the applications for the research grant. So you immediately come across, and then you start thinking, okay, yeah, this is the right area. This is the agency which is inviting research applications for research grant, and let me go for that. This is one thing. That means your mind is ready with your research project. Although it is not very perfect, but some hazy thoughts are there, which can be brought together. They can be brought on paper, and all those things can be done. And then it becomes a little bit easier than thinking that when the research grants are invited, you see the advertisement, then you tell, oh yeah, I want to apply, but I don't have anything in my mind. You just go to your teacher and say, sir, there is an advertisement of the research, they are inviting research applications. So tell me what type of research we can do. Most of the times this happens, that you see the advertisement and then you start thinking what research should be done. For example, take the example of our health sciences university, Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. Every year they ask for research proposals, they invite research proposals, but still people start thinking about what to do, what type of research to be done after getting the advertisement. So this is a very odd thing actually. Such research proposals never come to end. You may get the grant as well, but they don't terminate successfully. They are left halfway through, haphazard results are there. You just try to convince the people that, yeah, this my proposal is good and I have done the complete work and so on, such and such things. So this is not a very ideal situation, or this situation is not at all expected also. You should have the project in your mind all the time. 24 hours, 7 days, 24/7, you should have that proposal or some research projects in your mind, research work in your mind, some areas at least that you are going to do. Ideally, complete research project is there in your mind. Everything is ready, and you are just searching where I should apply. You are searching for that is the ideal situation, that you have a research project in your mind, and then you are searching the agency. Which agency will fund me for that particular research? This is the most ideal situation, but that happens very rarely, very rarely. Because such things happen when such things happens when research is done as a impulsive research. You know that I always talk about this thing, impulsive research and compulsive research. 99% of our people are doing compulsive research. You know what is compulsive research? Compulsive research because it is required for your degree purpose, because it is required for your promotions, because it is required for you want to get some become famous. All those things are there. That is a compulsive research, because unless you do the research, you won't survive at all. So that is called a compulsive research. Compulsive research doesn't pay much dividends, my friends. It's just because you are fulfilling certain formality. You are completing the formalities. The MD research work you are doing. Even today, even PhD research work also, people are very fond of doing PhD. I'm surprised how many PhDs are being registered every year. Hundreds of PhDs are being registered. I have visited one of the institute somewhere in Gujarat in maybe some 3-4 years back. They invited me to deliver a lecture. I went there and started giving the lecture. Before that, I just inquired how many students are there. They said there are 100 students are registered for our PhD in our institutes. I was just surprised. 100 students registered for PhD. I was just saying, if so many number of PhD students are coming from one institute, just imagine how many PhDs will be there from India, in the whole country, and where we should stand in the world in the field of research. This is really controversial things, my friends. At least spare some research area. Don't go for that unless you require, you impulsively feel that the research is being done. At least this area should be left behind. But unfortunately, in our country, we are going for everything. We think that we are capable of everything, particularly the research. Everybody says, even this private practitioner, he has a roaring practitioner, very good practitioner. He thinks that he can do a research, lot of research, because he has treated so many patients. He has been treated. He knows that the particular type of therapy is very fruitful. He's treating so many patients. So he thinks that, oh yeah, I'm doing the research. I want to do the research in this particular thing. This never happens, my friends. This area is completely different area. You have to devote yourself up with it. Anyway, I don't want to go in many much details of these things, these backgrounds, but only just want to convey you is that the research will be only fruitful, really fruitful, if the research is an impulsive research. That means you are getting an impulse from your mind, from your body, from your mind. Yeah, this area needs to be searched to satisfy your knowledge. You should have a knowledge thirst, impulsion from your body, from your own thinking. You are reading certain things, you are studying certain things. After during the study, you find that yeah, this particular area I am not getting the answer appropriately. You are treating the patients. You are getting the, but you are very curious about how I am getting the results. You are curious about that. That thing is yes, this area is to be searched appropriately. So this is called as an impulsive research. You are not fascinated because you will be getting some reward after doing the research. That is a compulsive research. Compulsive research will not pay any dividend. Maybe you are getting some promotion, your increment, your name may be famous, but actual in scientific field, in science, you don't contribute anything at all. You know how many PhDs are there in Ayurveda? Since so many years, PhDs are coming up. So many doctorate people are there. But still, none of the doctorate people, they are recognized by the science community. They are not recognized. Why? Because the quality of the work. So this is the most worrying situation, my friends. So if you really want this type of research will not get any funding at all. Unfortunately, this has happened. Anyway, the message which I want to convey you that you should be always ready with your research project, research thoughts, actually research thoughts that yeah, this is an area which I want. The ideal situation is that you are working on something and you find that this area needs to be searched appropriately. You design it yourself in your mind, put it on paper, and then you go for searching for the funding agencies. And suddenly you come across, you look for the advertisements, and during this advertisement you come across some advertisement that yeah, they are inviting the applications, and then you submit the application. That is the very ideal situations. Now, while if we find out that the advertisement is there and they are asking for inviting the applications, in that case, check for the due date, because even though the research project is ready inside your mind, still it needs to be prepared appropriately according to the requirement of that particular agencies. So this is very important. A rough sketch is already there inside your mind, and now you want to put it appropriately on a research paper, on a paper. That's why you look for that. First, you look for the research date of due date. What is the last date of receiving the application, the research application for the research grant? So look for due date, check the due date, and before the due date, because usually the research grants are not given to an individual. Remember, this is very important, my friends. Research grant is not given to one particular individual. Of course, one particular individual who is independent, completely independent. If that person is serving in some, a person working in an institute, attached to an institute, maybe a government institute, maybe a private institute, some institute must be there where he is working, he is attached to that institute, then and then only he is able to get the grant. An independent person, for example, some private practitioner is there, and he wants that I want to do the research, and he applies for the research, and he won't get it. Recently, you know, during this COVID-19, the Department of Ayush has invited so many applications. Now these applications, even the private practitioners were asked to submit the applications. That was an exception situation. Usually it doesn't happen. There are certain agencies, very few agencies which give research grant to an individual who is not affiliated to any institute, but usually not in the field of medicine. Usually it is not. Very rarely, very rarely. You need to be associated, affiliated to certain institutes, recognized institute, maybe a college, maybe a hospital, maybe some NGO, maybe a research institute. Some institute must be there where you are working, you are affiliated. So that is your center, and through that center you have to apply. That means you can't directly apply to the granting agency for research grant. You have to submit your application through your institute. Now this is very clear whenever you read the read the advertisement or the scheme, because grant is always given through a scheme. There are different schemes are there. Now through these schemes the grants are allotted. Now these schemes are running throughout the year. That means they are not for one particular year. They are years together. The schemes are being run. For example, I will give you, the Ayush Ministry has a scheme which is known as EMR. EMR means extramural research scheme. Now extramural research scheme is run by almost every department, particularly the central government departments. They run EMR schemes. Now what is the extramural research? Extramural research means, murals means a frame. Now out of that frame means here the institute. Frame means the institute. Now this institute, for example, CCRS is giving extramural research grant. Now CCRS is, that means CCR is giving the grant to the research which is carried out of this Central Council of Research Institute, out of their institute. For example, some college is applying for the grant to CCRS. Okay, that is called the extramural. Or for example, university is giving the research grant. Outside the department of university, some colleges are applying for the grant, that is called an extramural grant. So, and what is intramural? Intramural means inside the institute, within the institute. That is called intramural. So extramural and extramural, intramural and extramural, these two terms are very important. So extramural research grant scheme is there. Now it is the scheme may be having some different names are also there. So anyway, the grant is always given under the. Please mute your mics. I'm getting disturbed. Don't talk in between. Mute your mics. So the grants are always given under certain schemes. So try to understand the schemes are always there on their website. On the website, you can go across that. Dates they may vary, but scheme is always there on the website. So go to that scheme, shuffle through the scheme, carefully read each and every line of the scheme. In that scheme, it is already, the first thing is the eligibility for application. That is one point. Whether you are eligible to apply or not. What type of institutes are eligible to apply for that particular scheme that has been given? For example, Ayush grant, Ayush scheme, it is for some colleges, research institutes, some hospitals, etc. What are the industry, etc., etc. They see whether you are fitting, you are employed in an institute which is eligible to submit an application. So if you are sure that, okay, for example, your college, YMT Ayurved College. Now, whether that YMT Ayurved College is eligible to send the application, research applications to the granting agency, that you have to see first. Now, let us assume, okay, now the first step is there that, okay, our institute is, we can submit our application through our institute, that you know. Now, the first thing what you should do is see the last date. And what is the last date of application? What is the due date for application? Now, before the due date, at least 15 days before the due date, you should submit your application to your own institute. It is very important. 15 days prior to due date. For example, 15th February is the last date. So you should submit your application at least on the 31st January. Because there are certain procedures are there which institute should complete. those procedures, they take their own time. Even for sending the proposal, the duration which is required for the postal duration, whatever is there, these things are also required, because you have to send hard copies as well. Along with the soft copy, you may have to be asked to submit the hard copies as well. So hard copy should reach their office, that particular office granting agency, before the due date. So this very much in-house submission should be 2 weeks prior to the due date. It's very important. So this you should have your mind. Okay, I'm good. This is my. That's why your last date is 15 days prior to the last date of the submission to the granting agency. Now you know that. Now go through the proposal completely. Read each and everything very carefully. Very important. Carefully read the application format. Now, what you should concentrate upon. Now, you see here. First, the first thing is contents. Careful reading of the page for what should contents. What are the contents? The first thing is that there is some overview information inside the research scheme. In the scheme, they give just overall information of the overview of the information. Now, what is the scheme? Why? What is the purpose of that scheme? What are the objectives of the scheme? Why the applications are being invited? Which type of institutes are eligible to apply? What are the requirements of the investigator? How many institutes will be required? What type of subjects you can choose? All these things are given inside that scheme. The first thing is funding description. How much funds are being given? How much funds will be given to the research as a research grant, and how they will be given, in what form they will be given, in whether there will be even installments, whether there will be full grant will be given, how it is to be given, because there are certain steps. I will come across how they give generally these installments are released and all those things are there. So what type of funding description, what type of funding is there, how the funds will be released, what are the requirements of release of the funds, all these things are given. Many times they ask, for example, for industry, if they are giving a grant to the industry, they expect that 50% of the grant should be given by the industry which is applying for that. For example, the 1 crore research project is there. So 50 lakhs should be spent by the industry and 50 lakhs will be given as a research grant by the funding agency. So so this is the funding description. What type of funds will be given? That is very, very important. And award information, how they will be awarded. Award information after completing the research, what award is there? That is also important. Many times there's some there are patent clauses are there after completing the research project. You may getting the patent. So whether you will be free to get the patent or not, or whether the funding agency will be a part of your patent. All those things are there described inside that scheme. So get that information, very important. Key dates are there. What are the key dates? For example, submission of the application is there, last date application. After submission application, they will tell you within how many days you will be getting the reply, whether your application is being screened and accepted or rejected, whatever is happening. After acceptance also, they may be asking you, they will not accept fully. They will be inviting you to submit your presentation. So what are those dates? So these dates, there are certain key dates are there. What is the total period allotted to you to complete your, whether it's a 3-year project, 2-year project, 1-year project, whatever is the period which is being given to you. That is also very important that you should see. Then research plan, what type of research plan they are expecting. Eligibility information, I already told you whether you are yourself eligible to apply, whether there are 2 eligibility criteria. One is first is yourself, that is the investigator, whether you are eligible to apply as a principal investigator. And second thing is whether your institute is eligible to submit the application, your application or not. So eligibility information, these two are very important. If you yourself are not eligible, then of course your institute, there's no use, even though your institute is eligible. For institutes also, there are many things. For example, there is a private NGO is there. They say that there at least 3 years financial details need to be given, return details need to be given. You should have a history of 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is. That thing, they want your memorandum of understanding of your of your institute. All those things are required. So in this, it may be said, they may say, ask you that in your memorandum of understanding, you should have a clause that you are the objective of the institute is to do the research. All those things are also related. So see that thing. Third thing is selection criteria. How they are going to select the proposal? They give. What is the selection criteria? What are the selection criteria that they give? Whether you fit in that selection criteria or not, or what you should do to get your project selected. By understanding the criteria, you can definitely see whether your project will be selected or not. What is to be done to get your project selected? All those things are. Now, award administration information, how the award is being administered, that also they give. So this is very important, my friends. Particularly, 3 things are very important in this scheme. One is pay attention to funding description. How the funds will be released, how much funds are to be released, how much, how they will be released, what are these heads, funding heads are there, how much money you can spend on a particular head, all those things are given. So funding receipt is very important. Second is deliverables. Deliverables, what you are going to deliver and what they are expecting to be delivered. This is very important. They expect that these things should be delivered. So what you are expected to deliver, so what are your deliverables? That is very important. In case of after completion of the research also, and inside in your application also, you should tell this I will be delivering. So deliverables are also very important for the funding agency. They want to know what you are going to do, how you are going to do, all things are there. And the most important, requested aims, because every granting agency has certain aims, and according to their aims, they design the proposal. For example, just like the example, again, I will take the COVID-19 example. In COVID-19, the government agencies have asked to submit the proposals only for COVID-19. So that was their objective, to find out the therapy for COVID-19. Specific disease proposal. They didn't accept any other proposal in that area. Some agencies are there, they invite only proposals on cancer. They specifically say that we are inviting the proposals for cancer research only. There are many agencies which are doing that. Some agencies are there which invite for the mental diseases. It's also there. Some inquiry, for example, what I should say, something bio cell culture and all those things they are required. Some nano material they are. So their areas are fixed. Every agency has certain areas, and on that area they have certain aims, their own aims of the institute, and accordingly they design the schemes. So go through that scheme and see whether your research proposals suits to that aim. Your aims and the institute's agency's aims should match. They should be uniform. Then and then there are chances to get the grants. If your objectives are different from the objectives of the funding agency, the agency won't give you any grant at all. So this is very important. So requested aims are very much important. You should look for those aims accordingly. Just wait. The first step you have completed, that you have read the research scheme and scheme and the format and everything you have read carefully. Now the next thing. Now you know that your research topic and your aims are in line with the aims of the granting agency. Now you are sure about that. Then that means your research topic is fitting in the criteria of their requirements. That you know. Now you are going to develop the research plan. Development of research plans is very important. Now your job is, what is your job? That now you have to convince them that, see, your aim and my aim both are same. Now I am going to achieve that aim. Now how I am going to achieve that aim? You have to convince them that I I am fit to achieve these aims, and this is my scheme through which I will attain these objectives or these aims. That is the method, and everything you should be such that the granting agency will admire your scheme and be convinced that you will be definitely completing the you will be achieving the objectives set by you. So that is why how it should be done. First thing, your statements. Whatever statements you are making in the proposal, research proposals, they are very important. These proposals should be, the statements should be absolutely clear. They should be clear. There must not be any ambiguity. The problem with our people, particularly in the area of Ayurveda, I always see that you are making ambiguous statements, very ambiguous statements. It is not clear by your statements what exactly you are going to do. You assume it in your mind, you may be knowing that things. Okay, for example, let us see, you write something that I will be looking for atimutrata. Now this is one, atimutrata or atinidra. That is one of your parameter. Now atimutrata and atinidrata, how you are going to assess? It is not. What do you mean by atimutrata? It is not clear. What do you mean by atinidrata? You are not clear. You have to convince them that what is atinidrata, how you are going to judge the atinidrata or atinidrata. This is an ambiguous statement, my friends. You will say that no, people, how they will feel. It's ambiguous. Feeling, subjective things are very ambiguous. Your statements must be clear, very clear. Second thing, concise and meaningful. Very important. This usually doesn't happen in your I come across many of your research proposals, many for your PhD submissions, your MD submissions, granting through the granting proposals. I have seen many in universities also. We have seen that totally ambiguous statements are being made in your research proposal. This is a scientific writing, my friends. You are not writing some literary fiction work. In fiction, is okay. You can write many ambiguous things. Nobody is going to ask you. You are beautifying your writing, your whatever you are writing, and you are trying to convince people, yeah, how beautiful writer I am. Here, this is a scientific writing. Here, nobody is seeing how beautiful you are writing, how expert you are in writing certain good things. They are not expecting that. They want to know exactly what you want to say, what you are saying. Very important. This is science. In science, 1 + 1 is always 2. It can't be 11 or 3. No. Whether you want to say 1 and 1 or 1 + 1. 1 and 1 will be 11 also. 1 and 1 will be 2 also. So whether you want to say 11 or whether you want to say 2, that should be clear. Very important, my friends. So this is what is required. So in your proposals, all the statements should be most clear. So read while you are writing. Whenever you write a sentence, make sure that your sentence is very clear. It is telling exactly what you have in mind. Maybe in your mind, you might be knowing the meaning of that sentence. But a person who is not sitting in front of you, he is far away, and he is reading your whatever you have written. How can you know what is going on inside your mind when you are writing that sentence? No, my friends. In fiction, it is okay. But in scientific writing, no, it is not okay, my friends. It is a negative thing. So your statement should be clear, concise, and meaningful. Meaningless sentences don't have any place in any scientific writing. Unfortunately, our thesis, your submissions, they are full of this unclear, ambiguous, meaningless statements and very broad statements. They are not concise also. Unnecessary. You have to edit every sentence. Editing is very important, my friends. You have to weed off what is not required. Weeding out is very important. Whenever you are writing something, you are writing a letter or something you are writing, a chapter you are writing. So see, whenever you are writing a research paper, it's a paper writing. That there also. Editing is most important. Same thing you say again and again in multiple words. Same drive, but same thing. For example, you are using a bar diagram, you are using a line graph, you are using a pie diagram. Same thing is taken unknown. It is not required, my friends. You have to give clear statements. So statements should be clear. And all these statements inside your proposal need to be supportive to the objectives of application and the funding body. Statements should be in line. They should support the objectives. They should be in line with the objectives set in your proposal. So objectives should be clear so that your statements will also be clear. Very important, my friends. For example, your objective is to see an effect of a particular drug. Now, for example, you are seeing I am giving a very raw example, gross example. You are seeing an antipyretic effect of tribonikirti. Just I am giving an example. Now, while doing this, what you are doing inside your proposal, you are saying, you are giving a data, or you are going to collect the data. In that data, you will say that so many females are there, so many males are there. Higher economic class, lower economic class, middle economic class. That also you are dividing. Caste-wise or religion-wise also you are dividing something. Employment also, it has no relation, it's totally irrelevant. What it has to do with antibiotic effect of tribonikirti? Your objective is different. You are doing something different. No point. For example, you are writing a project for antibiotic of tribonikirti, and you are writing that tribonikirti is used in bronchial asthma as well. It doesn't have any meaning at all. No relation. You are giving a list of review of literature in your review. You give to everything about tribonikirti. It's not required. It is irrelevant. You should only give what is required, which is relevant with your own research objectives. So objectives are important. Don't get away from your objective whenever you are writing. That is why this is not loitering over something, my friends. You are not loitering in the veranda when you are writing something without any purpose at all. Not a single word should be there inside your research proposal which is not related to your proposal, which is most irrelevant. It will be a demerit of your proposal. They will think, yeah, this man doesn't have any objective at all. He doesn't know what he is going to do. Why we should give money to him? No. So my friends, our mindset is like that. There was one film many years back. There was this film known. The title was 10 lakh. In 10 lakh, that father gives 10 lakh rupees to his sons and tells him to spend that money within a month or so. That is what is happening, and they are not able to spend that money at all. The thing is same with us also. The agencies are there. They are giving you the money. You are getting the money, but you don't know how to spend it. That is what is happening. So don't do that, because your ideas are not clear. Your statements are not clear. That is why that is happening, my friend. So your statement should be supportive to the objectives of application as well as the objectives of the funding body, which is very important, very much important. Second thing that you have to consider is the research challenge. Very important. Now, what is the research challenge we are facing? Now, your objectives are aligned with the objectives of funding agency. Now, you are setting a research challenge. Now, how to do this research challenge? First thing is significance and innovation in the proposal. Very important. First thing which you should do, this is done usually in the introduction of every research proposal or even this thesis writing as well, that you have to convince the significance of your proposal. Why it is essential that you should get the money for your project. What it will contribute. What you contribute. The problem, that we in our mind have that it is the job of the funding agency to give the funds. They have a problem that we have to give the funds. There are certain people whom to funds should be given, and we are giving them an opportunity to fund us. That is our mindset. That means we are obliging them by submitting the application and getting the fund. It's not there, my friend. This is not your obligation, my friends. You should feel obliged to get the funds after getting the funds. That is not happening. You think that the funding agencies have a scheme, they have a money with them. Now it is their problem. They are searching some people to go, okay, come here, I will give you the grant. They are sitting like that. They are just distributing the money. It's not like that, my friends. You have to show the significance, why it is important, how significant is your research project, what the research project will contribute. If you complete the research, what it will contribute, your contribution, very important. And what is the innovation in the proposal, that is also very important. Idea should be innovative. Innovation is most important, my friends. Same thing again, previously it was done, again same thing you are doing. Since years together, people are doing the same thing. Again, you are doing the same thing again and again. No point in it. Why they should give the funds? They are spending money. Agency giving the funds, money they are giving. So they should get something out of that money. No. Now you have to convince them, yes, this is very significant. If you give the money, I will give this thing, this is very significant. It's very important that because of this, this thing will happen. The course will change. You will get a new drug. You will get a new therapy. You will find out something new. You will change the approach of the problem. This thing you have to convince them. So you have to show the significance of your proposal, your project, research project is very important. That's why you have to convince yourself also whether it is significant or not. Very important. Few years back, I came across one of the students. He said, I want to survey the medicinal plants in particular area. So many surveys have already done. What you are going to do? Now, one proposal was there who was saying, no, I want to see the medicinal plants useful in diabetes. That is the research project. Now, so many plants are there already on the diabetes research. Now, what you are going to add? What is the significance of that? People know that. So many plants are already there. It's not a contribution. So this is very important, my friends, that you should show the significance of your research project. Then this should happen. Second thing, innovation also I have told you. The idea should be innovative enough. Very important. Methodology and approach of testing hypothesis. Very important. Now, the method which you are using for testing the hypothesis. How you will be testing that? Because you are setting a hypothesis and you are testing that particular hypothesis. Now, the method of testing the hypothesis is very important. How you are going to test that hypothesis? Now, how will you do that? For that, you have to take the help of previous research project as well. Whether the method which you are adopting has been used previously also in previous research projects, and whether it was successful or not, that is the best way to support your project, your methodology. If the methodology, already used methodology is there, people will not hesitate. Okay, it is a tested one. The person is using the same methodology, no issue at all. No issue at all. So you don't have to convince them that the method is very useful. The only thing is that that method is applicable or not. Applicability of the method is very important, again, my friends. Very important. Particular method you are using, whether that method is really required for your proposal, that is also very important. Whether that method will help to prove your hypothesis, that is also important. Whether it is required or not, just for the sake of the thing, you don't do things. I will give an example. For example, you are doing a research on some Rasaushadhi. Now a research of Rasaushadhi is there. You are doing some effect of particular Rasaushadhi in a particular disease. Now during that, you are analyzing that thing. Actually, ideal thing is that a standard drug should be used for your work. Standardization should be completed prior to your clinical trials. Prior to clinical trials or prior to your pharmacological experimental study, the standardization of the drug should be complete, ideally. Then we can follow. Otherwise, most of the time will be spent on the standardization of that drug. And that's a very complicated issue. That's the thing which is usually happening in case of all of your studies. Almost everybody. You are taking big multi-ingredient formulations you are taking, and then you say that I am going to use in a particular disease, and you have to start from scratch. The drug is not standardized. It contains multiple ingredients. That ingredients are also not standardized. Then most of your time will be spent on, it will be wasted on standardization, because your main objective is still the effectivity of the drug, and you are spending your time or wasting your time in standardization of the drug. So that is not what is required. So very important, my friends, whether that particular test is required or not. And then during the test also, you do unnecessarily very high-end techniques you are using, and those techniques are not useful. People use FTIR, SEMEDX, XRD, etc., etc., etc. Whether that is required or not, that is very important. Many basic things are required, and basic things are very simple to do. They are less expensive, but you don't go for that. You just go through some thesis and you say, oh yeah, there it was there. That's why I'm doing the same thing again and again. He has done that, that's why I'm doing it. Whether it is required for your study or not, that you are not worried about that. You don't see for that also. So that is very troublesome, my friends. Unnecessarily, you will spend the money, your time will be spent, money will be spent, energy will be spent, and you are not going to get anything out of that. These things, of course, in your MD and PhD study, you are spending your own money. That's why nobody will be worried. You are the person who should be worried about that. But when agencies are funding, they will ask you why you are doing this. Why you are doing this? Very important. Why you require XRD? Why you are spending money for XRD? Why you are spending for SEMEDX? Why you are doing thermal gravimetry? Why you are doing all these things? Why the money is required? That you have to justify. So the methodology and approach for testing the hypothesis, they need to be proved. They need to be convinced that yes, this is required, and it's very important, my friend. Don't use them randomly without thinking anything. Because somebody has done it, that's why I'm doing the same thing again. No, very important. Another important thing is, particularly in case of Ayurveda, I will tell you what's happening. You look for some research papers whenever you are submitting your proposals. In references you tell this research has been done by such and such person, and he has used that thing, and that's why I'm using the same thing again. Now, while doing things, you have to see whether that research paper is appropriate or not, whether it's valid or not. Its validity is very important. You have to check that validity yourself. I'll give you a simple example, very simple example you can very well understand. For example, you say when you are using one ratti, one gunza, the measurement, one gunza. In most of the papers which have been published earlier, in earlier days, they are taking one gunza as 120 milligrams. Now, actually, this doesn't happen because one gunza is 125 milligrams. Very important. The same thing for karsh or tola. Most of the people take 10 grams as one karsh or tola. In previous days, it was like that. But nowadays, the pharmacopoeia is already there. It has been standardized that one tola is equal to 12 grams. Now, what will you do? These basic things are there. So you cite the example of the reference of the paper which has published. They have used this. That's why I'm doing this thing. You have to convince yourself, see yourself, whether that research paper is valid or not, whether some mistake was done by them or not, whether the results which they are published, whether they are correct or not. You have to check yourself, remember very well. The quality of research papers, particularly in the field of Ayurveda, is very, 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 very poor. I will repeat this n number of times. No, you don't go for such papers. You yourself see, check yourself on your own markers, apply your own markers, critical markers. Don't say that even the peer-reviewed research that we know what type of peers are there. Don't do that. Just see yourself in your own testing. You apply your own mind. You apply your own standards and see whether that particular findings which have been reported are correct or not. Because somebody has done it, because so you take a name of big institute. They have institute, they have taken, that's why I'm doing the same thing. No, if they are wrong, you should say that no, that is wrong, that's why I'm not taking it. Don't do that. Because there are many forces which are going amok in the field of Ayurveda, which are publishing the data which is not very valid. So be sure that whatever, because the funding agencies, they don't go for that. They don't do, okay, they are saying that's why we accept. No, they don't accept. If some experts are sitting over there who know the science accurately, they will not accept your arguments. That so they have published it, that's why. Mutrati pravrutti, atimutra pravrutti, because in the last paper, research paper, they have seen atimutra pravrutti, I am also doing the same thing. No, because he has done a wrong thing, you are not allowed to do the wrong thing. If I am saying that this is a wrong thing, this wrong means wrong. Whether who is doing it, it doesn't matter. Wrong things are always wrong. Because so many people are doing, it's not an election period that because number of people who have voted for me, they are more than the number who do not, that's why I am elected. You are not doing that. It's not an election. We're not going for majority criteria here. We are saying what is truth, whether one person says it or 1,000% say it. Truth is always truth in science. Science is science. So this is very important, my friends. So go for that. Demonstrate expertise in the field and past success. Very important. It's your own thing to do. Now you have to convince the person granting agencies that, see, I am able to do it. I'm an expert in this field, and I will give justice to your money which you are giving to me. I will spend it appropriately, and I'm an expert. So you have to show how expert you are, that you have to show. Not by saying that I am an expert. No. Not saying that I have so many years experience by teaching, so many things are, so many awards I am receiving, and that's why I am an expert. No, my friends. You have to show your expertise by your own work which you have done. That is your expertise. What you had done in the past, your own work, and how you had done. Now the problem with us is you might not be having any past work at all. You are a fresher, but in the field of granting an application towards a grant. So you have what you have in your credit. You have in your credit your MD research work, or maybe some PhD work. And I know what is that standard, what standards they are. That is why I am continuously telling you people that you concentrate on your research work, whether it is an MD work or a PhD work. Don't take it lightly. In future, you have to cite your papers. You have to cite your work. That I have done this work in my MD course, or during the PhD, I had done this. And or even so many teachers are sitting listening to my lecture. Now you teachers can definitely cite the thesis which you have guided, but provided if you have guided it appropriately, if that work is appropriately done. That's why guide should be very much careful about whenever he is guiding a student. Remember, whenever you are giving your name to that student, to that the thesis of that student, then on your name the thesis goes. So be careful whether that work is appropriate or not. If some trash work is going on your name will be spoiled, my friends. You can't cite that work in anywhere at all. Oh yeah, that was the work. Who was your guide? Immediately, whenever I sit in many interviews, then we ask the student, who was your guide? See the work. And when it comes to that, the work is poor. Oh yeah, this is the guide. Okay, right. That's why this thing is happening. So the guide's name is spoiled, remember very well. So be careful. Whenever you are guiding a student and giving your name, you are signing a document, signing a thesis work. Be sure that work is appropriate. You don't take it lightly. No, okay, yeah, student is very poor because he has to appear for the examinations. Then what will he do if I don't sign the... No. Your name is because that will be forever. No, once you sign the thesis, it goes forever in the library. It is for forever, for a lifetime. You can't change the name. You can't say, no, I have done that. No. It's very important, my friends. So don't allow at least your name to get spoiled. That's why if you have good work in the past, that work can be definitely quoted that this is my experience, this is my expertise, and I have done this very successfully. I have got successes. And that's why I assure you, convince the people will come, yeah, this person has done the work in the past. His work is like this. Some published research work is there. The published work also is very important. What type of research work is there? It's not that only I have so many papers are published. That's why I'm expert. No. What quality of paper is? Many times we have done this in the interviews. When some candidate submits a research paper, he tells us, yeah, see, this is we generally ask the candidate, show us your best research paper. Then Usually the student comes, the candidate comes with some research paper and he hands it to us. And then we start our interview on that paper only. And if the quality of paper is poor, naturally what will happen, what will be the condition of that person? Very important, my friends. So be careful whenever you are publishing certain things, you are publishing thesis, you are publishing research paper, you are guiding a student. So your work reads, my friends, remember, your work tells what you are doing, what type of person you are as a scientist. You have to tell the people, you demonstrate your expertise through your work. So your work will tell this funding agency that you are an expert in that field. Your success stories will tell. Impact of project on the field is also again important. Now you have, after completion of what will be the impact of that project on the field in which we are working. Overall impact, for example, you are working on some gynecology, you are working. So in the gynecology, what will happen? You are working on some infertility case. What type of impact? PCOD you are working, whatever you are working, what impact, whether it will change in the course, because money is being given to you, that money should give, you should give some dividends for that money. If you don't give dividends, what will happen? So it's very important, what will be the impact of your work on that particular field? That impact also you should tell them. And most important, that also in the earlier slide I also told you, alignment of goals and objectives of project with the goals and objectives of the funding agency, that your goals, your objectives, and the objectives and goals of the funding agency should be uniform. They should be similar. Then and then only the agency will be ready to give you the money. Now, how will you do that? Now, this how you are going to do this thing. First thing, highlight each milestone to be met. Very important. Now, during your course of work, research work, there will be certain milestones. You can't achieve the final milestone at one throw. No. Stepwise you are going ahead. And during this, your journey through your research work, you will be reaching certain milestones. Let us take an example of yours. One example. For example, you are working on the standardization of the one particular drug. During the standardization, what we will do, the first thing is collection of raw material. First thing is raw material standardization. So raw material standardization, you are the first milestone which you have to reach. Then the formulation standardization, preparation of this particular thing. Preparation of the drug is the another milestone. Third is standardization of the formulated product. That is another thing. Then comes the analysis of that product, laboratory analysis. That will be a milestone. And if your experimental study is there, experimental study is the another milestone. So these are the milestones. You set the milestone, highlight each and every milestone. These will be the milestones coming across whenever I will be doing the research work. This is very important. Clear-cut milestones should be given. Very important. Very important. Because people will understand the progress of research work when you are doing the work. After giving the grant, eventually at some intervals, maybe 6 months or 1 year interval, they will ask you to submit the report. So in that report, you have to tell you what milestones you have achieved. So milestones to be met are very important. Clear-cut milestones need to be given, so that the person who are screening your proposal will understand what is going to happen, how you are going, what type of milestones will be reaching. Secondly, there will be preliminary milestone, and the secondary milestones, as I told you. So these 3 to 5 aims with secondary milestones need to be given. Very important, so that people understand what is happening. The list of deliverables, what you are going to deliver, that also you have to give. And another very important thing that, see, you are doing a research work. Any work when you are doing, there are certain pitfalls in every work. It's not that every work will be very clear. It will be very smoothly going on. That something will be happening. Some problems will definitely come across. So before that means you have to pre-imagine, you have to imagine that this will happen. This is going to happen whenever I am doing a work. Something is going to happen. Some problem will arise. This particular problem will arise. And how you will be overcoming that problem. That is also very important. For example, you are saying that I want to see 100 patients I want to see. I will include 100 patients. Now, if suppose only 100 patients are included, what happens? Some 20 or odd patients, they leave your project halfway through. What will you do in that case? Because those will not be, your sample size will be incomplete. If they don't, 20 are not included, what will happen? So then you have to tell, okay, if this happens, that is why I require 100 patients, okay. But in addition also, I will take another 25, that I will be taking 125 patients. So that I'm assuming that 20 patients may be leaving the work halfway through, So I will come across that. So this, I've just given an example of what is going to happen. There should be, what I should say, the B plan ready for everything. The B plan should be ready. So that B plan you should tell that if this goes wrong, I will do this particular thing. This is very important. So this 1 to 2 explain the likely pitfalls in your study and tell them how you are going to overcome these pitfalls. What will be alternative proposal, alternative solutions to that pitfall for that problem. That also you should tell whenever you are submitting yourself. Very important, my friends. This specificity of the aims need to be told to the screeners screening your proposal. Then, most important, the budgetary provisions. Now, this budget, again, very important because everything is we are doing it for the budget only. Very important thing is that try to understand, see what are the budget heads provided. Because agency is giving the funds, okay. But those funds are given for particular purpose. The budget heads are there. For this. There are certain things which may not be covered in the budget at all. Certain things will be there where you will not be covered. And the budget head wise allocations are also there. For example, the budget head one is personnel. Now, what type of personnel are required? That also is given in the scheme. For example, how many investigators are allowed? 1 or 2. 1 principal investigator, 1 co-investigator, 2 co-investigators. Whether the consultant is allowed, whether the laboratory attendant is allowed, whether a biochemist is allowed, whether a research officer is allowed. Which are the personnel which can be included in the proposal? And how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, how many of them are allowed? So the personnel is one head, budget head. This is very important. And another thing is that the type of the personnel, the category of the personnel is also very important. For example, they are saying senior research fellow, SRF. Now, how many SRF are permitted? You have to see for the scheme. 1, 2, whatever them. What are the qualifications of the SRF required? That is also very important. Again, what are the salary which SRF will be receiving? That is also given in the scheme. You have to stick to that. Whether that SRF will be receiving the HRA, whether he will be receiving the DA, whether it is a fixed salary, how many years he will be appointed, whether it will be a contractual appointment or not, whether a daily wages appointment or not, whether a library is allowed, what type of personnel are permitted, whether a consultant is allowed, whether the principal investigator will be receiving certain money or not. Many times people say the principal investigators 1 lakh per month. Not allowed. Principal investigators usually in the colleges, they are not allowed to take any money at all. Very important. Most of the government schemes, they don't allow. Consultants may be allowed. But investigators, they don't get any money at all. Still people say that, yeah, I require this person because they want to take that research project as a earning source. That doesn't happen, my friends. So personnel is one of the, I will come across what type of personnel are allowed in particular scheme, citing one example of this scheme. Then equipment. Another thing, In personnel also, you have to justify the requirement of the personnel. Why? Why you require that person? For example, you say, I want a data entry operator, I require. Now, whether that data operator is required for you or not, that you have to justify, whether that is allowed in the scheme or not, very important. So that is what is required to see. You have to see, go through the scheme and see whether that particular facility is provided in the scheme or not. Is there any provision for that particular thing that you have to see? Very important. Equipment, very important again. Equipment, whether that particular equipment is required for it. There are certain basic equipments which you don't get in the scheme. There's the requirement of the scheme that you should have that equipment inside your institute. For example, you require X-ray. You want to take X-ray for your work, and you say that I want an X-ray machine in that scheme. They will not give you X-ray machine because it is expected that you are doing a research work in an institute where X-ray machine is already available. You can't take that scheme because you want an X-ray machine, because many institutes do this thing. Because they want a certain equipment, that's why they submit a scheme. And through that system, they try to get the equipment. No, my friend, that doesn't happen. There are certain basic requirements of the equipment. Those equipment you should have in your institute. Then and then only you can apply. If you don't have that, you don't do the research on that equipment. Any new specifically for that particular scheme, for your research project, if some equipment is required, which is not a usual one, then okay, yes, you can get that equipment in that. So that equipment, what is required, you have to see, show that, yeah, this equipment is required for the institute research project. I can't go for about that, but we don't have that. And usually we don't have because it is not required always. It is only required for this particular scheme. So that is what is important. Many times you have, I require a refrigerator. My friends, refrigerator you should have in your college, no? You should have your college. Yeah, if some additional facility is required in a refrigerator, okay, fine, no issue. Special things, special refrigerator, okay, fine, no issue. But you don't get a refrigerator because you should have in your college. That is very important. Some people require, yeah, I want a laptop through this scheme. No, my friend, you don't get a laptop for this scheme. So that is what. So see, equipment, justify requirement of each and every equipment. That is very important. And there are certain rules and regulations for purchase of that equipment, for storage of the equipment, for the deliverables of that equipment, how to store it, what to do about that equipment after completion of the research project. Those things are also given. Very important. Chemicals and other materials, there is another head. Travel is another. Travel is also there. But travel means what type of travel is very important. It doesn't mean that I want to go on a tour in India. No, it is not allowed. Travel with a purpose, that may purpose for your research project only. For example, you want to submit a research paper in one of the institutes based on your research project. Okay, it is allowed. No issue. For survey purpose, for example, yes, it is allowed. But that too, there are certain restrictions are there. It's very important. Stationary. Yeah? So justification for it. And another one important thing is that each subject head, this budget head, has a limit. That means you can spend this much amount only in that particular budget head. You can't exceed that limit. For example, for equipment, you have 10 lakh rupees grant. Just imagine 10 lakh grant is allotted for equipment. Is kept in that scheme. And you are spending 20 lakhs. And you are taking the 10 lakhs from another budget head. No, it is not allowed. It is not allowed. You have to restrict your spending of that particular budget to that budget only. You can't spend the budget of travel on chemicals and other vehicles or on the personnel. No, you can't do that. If you want to do that, you have to take a prior permission. Yes, sometimes it is allowed if it is very essential. That budget head may be very here and there. Then you have to take a prior permission of the agency that, yeah, I don't require this much budget on this particular head, but I require more budget on this particular head. The agency may allow you. It's not compulsory that they will allow you, but they may consider if you justify them properly, appropriately, then okay, yeah, they will, yeah, okay, fine, no issue. You can spend this budget. But this doesn't happen. My friend, what people do, they spend the money first and at the final submission, they say, no, this budget was insufficient for this particular budget head. And it was lying on another budget head. That's why we have spent in this. No. In one of the very big institutes, we observed that the budget head was some other thing for a person. There was no budget head for construction of the building. But they had done that. They have spent that money on the construction of the building and not spend on another repair. They said, no, we are within the scheme, we have done that and we have completed the scheme. No, it is not allowed. It was not allowed because you don't require that money, you should return that money. It's not that because the money is still balanced in your account, that's how we have spent in some other thing. No, you can't do that. That should be returned. Because you don't spend money, that money can be given to other people, one more proposal may be sanctioned in that money. It is required for research, it should be spent on research only. So this is very important, my friends. So budget heading is very important, that you should stick to that budget heads and stick to that limit as well in each and everything. Now, third step, feedback from peers and advisors. Now you have prepared the proposal, your proposal is ready. Now what you should look for peers. You should look for peers. Now they should be peers. Peers, you know what is peer? Peers means they are what we should say. They are not they don't have any vested interest in anything. They are working as third person. Frankly, they will tell you this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is right. These are called as peers, advisors. They will advise you also that okay, no, it is not right. You do this thing. You can do this thing. So this feedback, after complete writing of the proposal, show it to your peers, show it to your friends, your advisors, and tell them that you see whether you understand this thing or whether some explanation is required or not. That is very important. Read and learn from reviewers. Many times what happens, you submit a research proposal and your proposal is rejected and with his comment that this is not happening. Okay, don't get nervous. Next time you just go through that reviewer's comments, what was lacking, and try to improve upon your mistakes. Learn from your errors. This is very important. Nothing goes in vain in knowledge, my friends. Even your research papers, you submitting your research paper gets rejected, you get nervous. Don't get nervous. Okay, you have learned that okay, this proposal is not right. This because they have not accepted. We will change that thing. We will change accordingly and rewrite the proposal. This is very important. So this is what is required. You have to learn from the thing. Don't get nervous and try to learn from everything. Very important. So this is what is required. That's a read from and learn from the reviewer. Learning, you should be always in the learning mode. Very important. Don't think that you are now reached to a final stage. Now I don't have done. I will teach other people. I don't want to learn anything. No. Forever we should be a student. I still suppose myself as a student. I'm in 70 years now. Still I learn many things from people, even for students as well. So be in a student mode. Be in a learning mode. Always be in a learning mode. Try to learn things. Learn from reviewers. Then remember 6 to 8 months to get the answer. Usually 6 to 8 months are required about the acceptance or acceptance of this proposal. It's not that you have submitted the proposal and within 1 month you will be getting your answer. No, yeah, you are accepted. No, it doesn't happen. It goes through various stages. They take 6 to 8 months to accept your rejected proposal and they can review accordingly. Consider the comments of reviewer for putting next application as I told you. And the last thing is step 5 is keep on writing. So go on writing one draft, another draft, third draft, second draft, fourth draft, fifth draft, like that. Write and write and write and write. You will definitely improve. Most importantly, how to do these things. Now, how to convince the people. Again, I will revert back to the submission. Now your proposal is ready. Now you are to submit. Convince the people. Now you are invited for your submissions. Presentation. You are invited for submission, presentation. What you will do? There are 2 entirely different audiences to your presentations. In college, we have only one type of audience. When you are for PhD review or your MD review, all those things, committees are there. Only experts are there. One subject experts are there. But in granting agencies, they have a mix-up of the experts. Usually 2 entirely different types of audiences are there in this this audience. One is first audience is subject expert reviewers. For example, AYURVED. There are AYURVED experts in the committee. But there are other experts who are not from AYURVED. They are irrelevant to your subject because it's a mixed committee. No, granting agency is a very broad agency. They have different objects. Now they are experts from different communities. Different experts are already there. Subject experts are compulsorily there. But apart from subject experts, other experts are also there who are observing it. Because science is one, my friends. Whether it is an Ayurveda, whether it is engineering, whether it is a modern medicine, whether it is a botany, zoology, whatever it is. Science is science. Everything is science. In science, principles are all, basic principles are always same. They are not different. Basic principle are always same. That means 1 + 1 will be always 2 in any science. It's not 11 in Ayurveda and 2 in modern medicine or 3 in zoology like that. It's always like that. So basic structure of the research proposal is always same in everywhere, in every field it is same. Basic tenets, basic requirements are also same. They just want to get satisfied. Okay, whatever you are going to do, you are going to achieve the things by your methods. That's what you have to convince. So there are 2 types of reviewers, 2 types of reviewers. One is subject expert reviewers, another reviewers from non-relevant reviewers. They are not relevant to your subject. They are totally different. Now, the first audience is very easy to convince because they are your subject experts. They know the subject. That's why they can understand what you are doing very easily. You don't have to convince them, but they are knowledgeable. So the only thing you have to show to them that you are master in that subject. That you have to show to them, to the subject experts. Say, yeah, you know everything about Ayurveda. You know how to go for fields. You know everything. So they can be convinced easily. But you have to convince them that, okay, you are the master in that particular subject. And what we generally do in presentations, we target this audience. Most of the times, you always think about only these people. You don't think about the non-relevant reviewers. You are always targeting the experts, subject experts who are sitting in the audience. Because they can be easily convinced, easily satisfied, because they are your subjects. Because they have an affinity for that, for that subject. That's okay. Yeah, this is my subject. I should support this. At the back of mind, they have, okay, this is my student. This is my person. The person is coming from my field. That's why I should support him. That is their mentality. They can be easily satisfied. The most important part is the another type of audience, which is non-relevant reviewers. And usually, they are very difficult to convince. And usually, they are more in numbers in the committee and they have the decision-making capacity because of their majority. So this group needs to be targeted, which is non-relevant. That is why your presentation should be understandable to these people who are not relevant with your subject, but still they are sitting there as an expert and they are in majority numbers in the screening committee. That is very important. Very important. Now what happens? Let us see how to do this. First thing is, as I told you, the subject reviewer, they are easily satisfied. What you should do for them? What you should do? Show the true relevance of the project in the context of the present state of knowledge. This is subject reviewers, subject experts. You have to just show that what is the relevance of your project to this context of the present knowledge. You should know what is the present knowledge, what is the state of present knowledge in your subject. So you have to just tell them your project is relevant with the current state of the knowledge of your own subject. Display knowledge of current literature, whether you are knowing the current knowledge, current state of the affairs, that you have to show. Papers, you cite some research papers, you cite some examples to the subject of area where to be focused about. You have to take a review of the published work in last 2 to 5 years related to your own subject. You have to show that, yes, I have read this. You have to show them that how well read you are on your own subject. That you have to convince to the subject. The other group will not be convinced because of this. They will not be enthralled because of this thing. Because they don't know the significance of those research papers. The subject experts know the significance of the paper. That's why you have to convince that you have read it. Many times they ask, these subjects, have you read that particular paper? It was published in so much year. Do you know that subject? If you don't know, then they, oh yeah, this person has not read it. So you have to be well read, and you should tell them that, yes, I have read that paper. So that is very important. That's why you should be a well reader. So last 5 to 5 years, you have to take a review of the research paper. Provide a description of the proposed research plan with sufficient details. Very important. You have to tell them sufficient detail, give the details plan, what is your research plan, give the details about that. Enabling adequate assessment of its validity and its likelihood of success. This you have to tell the subject first. That's yes, this plan I'm going to do. These are the steps, and after doing these steps, I'm going to achieve this thing. So this is possible with whatever I'm doing, the methodology which I'm applying. It is very good, and definitely by applying this particular research methodology, I'm going to get success. So likelihood of getting success, you have to convince to the subject expert by applying this thing. You should be convinced. He should be convinced. Okay, yeah, this thing is going to be right, and through going by this way, he is going to achieve this particular thing. So this is very important. So subject research, and comparatively, it is easier than to address the non-experts or irrelevant or non-relevant experts sitting in the committee. Let us see now how to approach these non-experts in the committee. The non-experts are most difficult to satisfy. Very important. The problem is, what these people do. They try to look for their own specialty in the presented work. For example, a person of zoology is sitting in your presentation. You are an Ayurvedic person, you are showing them that. Now they try to correlate the things in zoology with in your presentation. Their knowledge of zoology, they are trying to apply to Ayurveda. Through that angle, they see, as you are well accustomed with these statisticians. They always sit in our screening committee, you know that. What they do, they always look through the angle of statistics, how the statistics will be applied to this particular research work. So like it's a natural thing, no, because we always try to judge a thing with our own prior knowledge. So the knowledge of subject is not there. That's why they try to apply the knowledge of their subject to your subject. So this is very intriguing, my friends. But this happens. Everybody does it. Even you are sitting in the committee, you will do the same thing again. Because if I am sitting in a research paper, for a Kai Chikitsa person is submitting his proposal, research project in front of me. I am a person from Rashastra. Now I will always look through the angle of Rashastra into the Kai Chikitsa person. I will ask him now whether that Shilajit you have taken, whether it was appropriate or not, what test you have done about the Shilajit, whether the Loha Bhasma was proper or not, whether you have tested it or not, whether you are Apunarbhava, whether Rekha Punat was there, because I have knowledge about that now. So this happens. This is a natural thing to happen. So remember very well that he is going to ask the question. You should, of course, you don't know what type of experts will be there. That is very important. Again, one thing. Even if you go there while presentation, nobody introduces you to any expert. They just tell you, come on, start presentation. Now you don't know how many experts are there and who is who. Maybe some 2-3 people you might be knowing, but other people you don't know. So the problem is always there. So, but still you should remember that. That's why the best way is make your presentation as simple as possible. What we should do. Another thing is very important, I will tell you. That you are not your project is not the only project which the person is reading. The screeners or reviewers are reading. They are reading dozens of research papers, the proposals, screening dozens of proposals. The applications come to them. They have to read those applications, give the comments on that. Dozens of research proposals. They get bored. Subject expert, okay, fine. But the person from other field, he is made to read the paper on proposal of Ayurveda. He will get bored. So that is why it is very difficult to convince these people. Remember that this person is reading so many research proposals. So now how to attract his attention and convince him that, okay, my research proposal is good. Go read it. First thing is that making him compulsorily read that paper. In your absence also, you are not in front of them when he is reading the proposal. Presentation time also, you don't know exactly what expertise he is having. So very important. That's why the best way is to, first thing is presenting or writing the proposal in the first person, that I will do that, I will do that. I will be getting the results. I will like that. You have to write this proposal. This thing will be done. That thing will be done. In the first, as far as possible, try to write in the first person that people will consider. Because yeah, he is going to do all this. Use of dialogue than narration or introduction of the topic. For introduction of the topic, very important. Try to write in a dialogue style. It is very difficult. It comes with a habit, of course. But as far as possible, do it in dialogue. Dialogue is easier for communication. Very important. Avoid use of jargons. Very important, actually, particularly for Ayurvedic people. Don't use jargons. What is jargon? Jargons means technical terms. Now, a person from zoology, you are telling him there are 3 doshas. Now, that person doesn't know what is dosh. Dosh means he will have defect. There are 3 defects in this proposal. That's why your mind will come. And again, you are able to 3 doshas are there. 3 doshas are there. Samprapti, Shat Kriyakal. So many terms you use. Vriddhi, dosha vriddhi, am. These are jargons. A Ayurvedic person will understand that, but a person who is not from Ayurveda, what will he understand? What is the Miss Mango? Why mango is coming here? Like this. So this happens. So profession specific terms should be avoided as far as possible. Keep them as minimum as possible. I am talking about the receiving the research grants. I am talking about the receiving of this research grant application. I am talking about. I am not talking about your usual research proposals. Of course, there also I always tell you that try to avoid jargons as possible, as much as possible. So jargons, profession specific terms need to be dosha vriddhi, dhatu, dushti, murchana, this bhavana. Rashastra people always tell that. They don't, because the person not from Ayurveda, he will not understand this thing. What you are talking about? Very important. Very important. Same thing as regarding acronyms. Acronyms, you see, a person from that field, okay, he may not also understand what acronym you are doing. Whatever, ABC. What do you mean by ABC? Amitabh Bachchan Corporation. What is it? See, this is very intriguing, my friends. These acronyms should not be used, at least in the research grant proposals. No. Very important. So avoid using jargons. Avoid using because see, that person is reading so many research proposals and so many acronyms are coming over there. He will be confused. What is the meaning of this acronym? Nobody knows. Very important. He doesn't know because he's not from that field. What he will do? So these, as far as possible, I will say that don't use the acronyms at all in your research proposal. Don't use them. Particularly when you are applying in a grant, don't use them in application. Even jargons also. As far as possible, try to avoid those jargons. Very important. Avoid use of equations and molecular diagrams. Again, try to avoid the equations. Why are you using equations? No use. Statistics, you are presenting your equations. Menstrual time to see there I have equations. Don't do that. Yes, you simply say that this particular formula has been used. That's all. Don't try to do that. You have to justify what you are doing. By if you are asked, sample size appears very less, you have to justify why sample size is required for that. How you have calculated that. If asked, you can tell them. So this is what is happening. So avoid these things so that make this proposal as simple as possible for a person who is not from your field. He doesn't know what is Ayurveda, what is Tridosha, what is Dosha Vriddhi, what is Samprapti, what is Shatriyakal, what is Shodhan, what is Maran. He doesn't know what is Virechan, don't know. He doesn't know what is Mutrati Pravritti, what is Nidra Vriddhi. He doesn't know what is Agni. So don't use these terms. When you are proposing a research grant, you are submitting, don't do this, particularly for research grant, my friends. Even though you are asking the grant from Ayush Ministry, they also try to avoid these terms because there also in the screening committee, there are many people who are not from Ayurveda. They are from different fields. They don't know. He may be from a computer field. He may be a technical person. He may be from agriculture. He may be from forest. He may be from accounts department. So many people are there. Secretary is sitting over there. Joint secretary is sitting. He may be a person from totally different branch. He doesn't know your terms. And he has the authority to sanction your grant. So he should understand. He should understand, even though he relies on the expert, still if he is not himself convinced, what is the person?
What is this? What is Agni? Fire? Why fire is coming here? So this is very important. So speak in the language which he can understand. Very important, my friend. At the same time, when you translate the thing, the person from your subject should understand also what you are translating, what you want to say. So this should not be completely odd, my friends. Very important. So this is what is expected from you people whenever you are submitting the applying for the research grant. Now, most importantly, make your proposal interesting and painless for reviewer. Very important, as I told you, the reading should be joyful. Reading should be there. Start writing at the earliest, few months before the submission of the proposal. Show the proposal to the colleagues and get the feedback. Ask a family member or friend, not a scientist, who is not a scientist, to read the proposal, because he is not a scientist. He is not from AYURVED. Now he is reading the proposal. Then he will ask you so many questions. What is the meaning of? He will ask you the right questions, which the non-expert, non-relevant person will be, irrelevant person will be asking you in the sitting in the committee. So a family member who is not a scientist, try to convince him, try to answer his questions, then your proposal will be okay, ready for your submissions. Now, let us go. Now, this is the general idea I have given about the research proposals, what you should do about research proposals, submission of report from any of the granting agencies. They generally have, this is the structure, broad structure, gross structure. Now, let us become specific, more specific. I will take the example of the Ministry of AYUSH research scheme. I will tell you what the scheme is there and how to address the points which they have raised in this particular scheme. First, in the name of the scheme is Research and Innovation in AYUSH. Initially, in previous days, it was known as, referred as EMR scheme, Extramural Research Scheme. Now it is, the name has been changed. It is Research and Innovation in AYUSH under the scheme. This is the name of the scheme, Ministry of AYUSH scheme. It is handled by the CCRS for AYURVED. Now, their priority areas are eligibility, first institution, university, and industry. I told you these are the three fields. Any institute can apply, university can apply, or industry can apply. They can apply. This is the AYUSH research program for young scholars. This is a scheme for students. The earlier scheme is for teachers and scientists, general scientists. This is this particular scheme area. Whereas this particular scheme, AYUSH research program for young scholars, is for UG students and PG students. For UG students, third year and final year degree course students, they are eligible to apply. Whereas PG students, all the year students, first year, second year, third year, all the 3 year students, they can apply for this grant. Now, regarding the first scheme, research and innovation scheme in AYUSH, investigators, one PI. PI means the principal investigator. One PI and two COIs. Two COIs means co-investigators. In every scheme, in the proposal, one principal investigator accompanied with two co-investigators are permitted. Of course, you have to justify whether they are required. It is not necessary that you should have them, but they are permitted if required. So you have to justify why two COIs or one COI is also required. Mode of application, first mode of is soft copy as well as the hard copies, both are required. This is the address, email address, email _ayush@yahoo.com. This EMR-ayush. This is the address. Scheme details are available on this website, AYUSH website, ayushgovernment.in. This is the website where the scheme is already present. You can see, go through it. This is the timeline usually followed for the applications, invited the applications. There are 4 quarters throughout the year they ask for the schemes, and the processing areas are March first week. That means the submission will be nearly before the last week of February. That means it is approaching now. This is the quarter. So this is the last day generally. Then for second quarter is June, third quarter is September, and fourth quarter is December. This is the processing by PSC. PSC is Project Assessment Committee, where a PSC processing by PSC is Project Sanctioning Committee. Project Sanctioning Committee is headed by the secretary. I don't know the present position, but previously it was headed by the secretary, and PSC is generally headed by some scientist, invited and nominated scientist that is headed. So this is the timetable of the invitation applications by the Ministry of AYUSH. Now, general format of application of this AYUSH, this scheme, very important. We should know this. There are certain sections. There are 4 sections usually: section A, B, C, and D. First section is general information of the project.
information of ongoing and completed research projects to the institute. As I told you, you have to give the information whether some project is already run in the institute, not for with you. Of course, with you also you have to give applicant also. But apart from that, if the institute is given some research project in the past years, that also you have to tell you that this particular project is given to the institute, it has been completed or it is running, whatever status is there. And what is the status of that particular one, whether it is completed, whether any money is pending, what those things are already there in there. So ongoing as well as completed research project, information about it in the institute as well as the person who is applying, that should be given. Then section B contains the biodata of proposed PIs as principal investigators, co-investigators, and consultants. You have to give the biodata and see that whether that person is eligible for getting appointed as co-PI or consultant. There are certain requirements are there. The principal investigator needs to be a qualified person. He should have certain experience. He should have certain research experience. He should be PhD. He should be, there, those details are given in the scheme. What are the requirements, eligibility criteria of that particular co-PIs, PIs, consultant, etc., etc. Those things are already there. Go through that project. You will understand that. The brief summary of the project you have to give. Very important. Then this is section C. Section D contains detail of the protocol of the study. Detailed protocol should be given. And most important, before submission of the project, ethical clearance should be obtained. Ethical clearance from the IEC and the IAEC if required. IEC is Institute's Ethics Committee or Institutional Animal Ethics Committee. These are the two committees. If animal experimentation is involved, then you have to get the clearance from the IAEC as well. Very important. And Ethics Committee of your institute needs to be as per the guidelines of the ICMR. There are ICMR guidelines there. Accordingly, your Ethics Committee should be there. So that's Ethics Committee approval should be there for your proposal, submission of the proposal. Very important. So there are 4 sections. Then documents to be enclosed. There are annexures. So in these annexures, these details are already given in the scheme. What are the documents usually required? There are memorandum of association of the, if the private institute or NGO, you have to submit your memorandum of association. Then rules, regulations of the institution, certificate of registration of the institute needs to be given. Annual report with audited account statement of the last year, very important. And if it is not ready, then what you should do? You have to give an annual report, a note. A note should be prepared and give a note on the activities which are carried on by your institute in the last year. As I told you, ethical clearance from the certificates from the both the committees, IEC and the IAEC as required. Very important. Now, this is the granting funding pattern, how the funds are given. Now, this particular funds, this scheme, as I told you, this scheme, it is maximum 70 lakhs rupees are given under this scheme. Research and innovation in Ayush. This is the scheme, which are 70 lakhs are given in the scheme. Whereas for UG student, 50,000 for 1 year, one-time financial assistance. And for postgraduate student, 1 lakh financial assistance, one-time financial assistance is given. So very important. Even industries are eligible to receive the grant, but the industry should spend at least 50% of the grant. For example, if 70 lakhs are given, 35 lakhs should come from the industry. They should invest 35 lakhs in the research project. So this is what, and these are the heads under which the grant is given. First is salary. Salary of whose salary I told you, salary for the co-PI, consultant, then research scientist, senior research fellow, junior research fellow, another, there are some other experts from the field. For example, you may require a chemist, you may require a person from the tissue culture lab, like that. Whatever your requirements are there, accordingly, you have to justify the requirements, and accordingly, salary is given. And salary should be as per the schemes of the government. There are schemes, it is fixed that senior research fellow will receive such and such grant, such salary. Junior research fellow will have this one. If he's a AYURVED person or a person from your doctor is there, he will be having different salary. The non-medical person will be having such and such salary. These things are given. And number of persons permitted is also given in this scheme. So one head is salary head is there. Salary head and equipment, I told you, equipment. Books also you have to, the non-recurring expenditure and recurring expenditure. Both type of expenditure are there. Some recurring expenditures are chemicals, then some drugs are there where you recurring, frequently you have to spend for that. Recurring as well as occurring, both are there. TADA, you have some balance. And institution, 10% of the grant which you will receive, it can be given, it is given to the institutional support. As an institutional support, you can give it to the institute itself. And PI and co-PI fees, I told you, sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. So you have to see, as I told you, in the government institutes, granting institutes, and colleges, usually the PIs don't get any salary. They don't get any money at all. So that's very important. Miscellaneous is also there. Total 70 lakhs grant is given for the grantee rate. UG, I told you regarding UG and PG grant also. Now, expenditure, how it is to be done, what should be done. Now, in expenditure, there are two types of assets, permanent assets and semi-permanent assets. Separate auditor record need to be kept. Audit record need to be kept. There are two types of assets, permanent assets, one record, and semi-permanent address, second record. You have to maintain the cash book, asset register, paid bills, bank statements and accounts. What is asset? Asset, anything costing more than 1,000. That is called an asset. Below 1,000, no issue. But above 1,000, if you have purchased something, that is called an asset. So that asset register you have to keep and maintain the record appropriately and get it audited accordingly. So this is what is there regarding this thing. Simple things are there. So I hope you understand what are the requirements of the submission of the grant proposal application for the research purpose. Any questions are there? Most welcome. You can ask anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your brilliant session today. And it was much needed and valuable training session for all of us. So from audience, anyone has any queries, please ask. From PhD students or teachers.
Yes, any question? You are most welcome. Most important thing I will tell you that you need to be very much clarity in your proposal should be there. Very important. No question? I'm surprised.
So you can put your questions in chat box. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Dr. Pranali Dande.
Yes.
सर तुम्ही ते गाईड केलेलं की इन्स्टिट्यूटला अटॅच असलं पाहिजे जर आपल्याला हे ग्रँट करायची असेल तर त्याबद्दल थोडं elaborate करून सांगा.
I'm not able to listen to you appropriately. What is it? What she is asking?
एक मिनिट सर. हॅलो, माझा आवाज येतोय का?
येतोय पण फार हळू आवाज आहे तुमचा. मला नीट कळत नाही काय म्हणताय ते.
सर
जरा मोठ्याने बोला.
हॅलो.
हॅलो. येस. बोला.
सर मी डॉक्टर प्रणाली दांडेकर बोलते गायनेक डिपार्टमेंट मधून. सर ती जेव्हा आपल्याला ग्रँट करायला आपण ऍप्लिकेशन देणार तेव्हा तुम्ही ते कंडिशन सांगितलेलं की तुम्ही सिंगल म्हणजे असं हे करू शकत नाही आणि तुम्ही कोणत्या तरी इन्स्टिट्यूटला किंवा कुठे म्हणजे अटॅच्ड असलं पाहिजे.
हो.
त्याबद्दल थोडं अजून गाईड कराल का?
हा, ते माझं म्हणणं असं आहे की तुम्ही कुठल्या तरी इन्स्टिट्यूट मध्ये काम करीत असलं पाहिजे. कारण काय होतं माहिती का, ते काय करतात, ग्रँट इन्स्टिट्यूटला येते. तुमच्या नावानं जरी आली तरी इन्स्टिट्यूट, समजा फॉर एक्झाम्पल तुम्ही आता उदाहरण देतो तुमच्या कॉलेजचं उदाहरण घेऊ आपण, की इथल्या प्रिन्सिपलच्या नावावर ती ग्रँट जमा करायला लागते. प्रिन्सिपल आणि तुम्ही, ती ग्रँट कॉलेजला येते आणि त्या कॉलेजने एक अकाउंट उघडायला लागतं. त्या अकाउंटमध्ये मग तुमच्या कॉलेजचा जो कोणी प्रिन्सिपल असतील, प्रिन्सिपल जो कोणी असेल आणि तुम्ही स्वतः, अशा दोघांचं म्हणजे जॉईंट अकाउंट उघडून त्याच्यातनं तुम्हाला ते पैसे घ्यायला लागतात. तुमच्या पर्सनल नावाने चेक येत नाही, ग्रँट येत नाही. त्यामुळे यू हॅव टू बी अटॅच टू द इन्स्टिट्यूट बिकॉज इन्स्टिट्यूट इज अन्सरेबल. इफ सपोज टुमॉरो तुमची गव्हर्नमेंट इन्स्टिट्यूट आहे, समजा गव्हर्नमेंट इन्स्टिट्यूटला माणूस बदलून गेला दुसरीकडे, तर ते ग्रँट त्याच्याबरोबर येत नाही, ती इन्स्टिट्यूट मध्ये आलेली असते ग्रँट. त्यामुळे यू हॅव टू बी अटॅच्ड विथ सम इन्स्टिट्यूट.
ओके सर, थँक्यू.
आता समजा मी रिटायर्ड पर्सन आहे, मला नाही ग्रँट मिळत रिसर्च कशा प्रकारची.
ओके.
हा, आय कॅन वर्क ॲज अ कन्सल्टंट बट आय कांट बी अ प्रिन्सिपल इन्व्हेस्टिगेटर.
ओके.
बिकॉज आय एम नॉट affiliated to any institute.
आणि सर तुम्ही ते म्हटलेलं ना की क्लिनिशियन किंवा प्रॅक्टिस मध्ये असणाऱ्यांनी पण असं म्हणजे ते पण अजून थोडंसं सांगितलं पण तेव्हा माझं मिस झालेलं.
हा नाही येत नाही. काय आहे ती एक स्पेसिफिक स्कीम त्याने कोविड मध्ये केली होती की कोणी करत होतं रिसर्च प्रपोजल्स, पण तशी मग अशी तुम्हाला सांगितलं की ते असं जनरली नसतं. तो कुठेतरी अटॅच असला पाहिजे कुठल्या तरी इन्स्टिट्यूटला. एक काही काही एक एजन्सीज आहे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल तुम्हाला CSIRचं एक प्रोजेक्ट आहे. मी तुम्हाला नावं नाही सांगितली एजन्सीची. बऱ्याच इन्स्टिट्यूट आहे. DST आहे, डिपार्टमेंट सायन्स अँड टेक्नॉलॉजी आहे, ICMR आहे, किंवा बायो इन्फॉर्मॅटिक्स आहे, त्याच्यानंतर CSIR आहे. हे लोक सुद्धा ग्रँट देतात. पर्टिक्युलरली CSIRचं सांगतो तुम्हाला. CSIRची एक एंटरप्रिन्युअर स्कीम म्हणून आहे, एंटरप्रिन्युअर रिसर्च स्कीम म्हणून. हे एंटरप्रिन्युअर रिसर्च मध्ये यू डोंट हॅव टू बी अ क्वालिफाईड पर्सन ॲट ऑल. मला आठवतं आय वॉज अ मेंबर ऑफ दॅट स्क्रीनिंग कमिटी ऑफ दॅट स्कीम. त्याच्यामध्ये आम्ही एका खेड्यातल्या मुलाला, जो म्हणजे मला वाटतं बहुधा मॅट्रिक सुद्धा नव्हता, त्याने एक सायकलचं काहीतरी रिनोव्हेशन केलं होतं. त्याच्या सायकलचा उपयोग करून त्याने काहीतरी मशीन तयार केलं होतं वेगळं. तर त्याच्याकरता फार मोठी ग्रँट नव्हती, काहीतरी 50,000 ग्रँट होती. त्याला 50,000 खूप जास्त होते, पण ती ग्रँट देण्यात आली होती त्याला. त्याच्याकडे क्वालिफिकेशन काही नव्हतं, बट इट वॉज अ इनोव्हेटिव्ह रिसर्च प्रपोजल. तेव्हा CSRने ग्रँट देतं. CSRकडे असे प्रपोजल्स आहेत म्हणजे जे काही असतात त्याचे. पण जनरली ह्या ज्या रिसर्च इन्स्टिट्यूट्स म्हणून ज्या काही आहेत त्या जनरली अशा ग्रँट देत नाहीत. म्हणजे फक्त इन्स्टिट्यूटला ग्रँट देतात. जनरली दे डोंट गिव्ह टू एनी पर्सनल ग्रँट्स देत नाहीत ते. इन्स्टिट्यूशनल ग्रँट्स देतात.
ओके सर, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच फॉर युअर गायडन्स. थँक्यू.
Anyone else want to ask any questions?
काही प्रश्न सांगा, नाही तर तुम्हाला आणखीन एक महत्त्वाची गोष्ट, मला एक उदाहरण द्यायचं आहे. आधी मला तुमचे प्रश्न ऐकून घ्यायचे ते असतील तर मग मी तुम्हाला सांगतो कसं कसं असू नये ह्याच्याबद्दल तुम्हाला सांगायचं आणि किती घोळ होतो नसलं बरोबर तर.
Sir, I want to ask a question regarding the timelines. Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, sir, how much time it will take from the application of the grant and your application is processed and you get a grant? So how much time it takes, and already how much time you get how much time your proposal can be sanctioned actually it will get?
हा काय आहे की जनरली 6 to 8 months time is required for screening and sanctioning the grant. Okay, after submission of the your proposal. Yeah. For example, the 30th March is your last date of submission. So generally in September or October you will receive the grant. So much time is required because in between you may be asked to come to the for presentation and all those things will happen. They will ask some modification in your proposal. When you present the proposal, there also discussion goes on. They will say, no, this much is not allowed, or you should do like this. The grant is not appropriate. You change the grant head, etc. All those things happen. So it takes around 6 months. Usually 6 to 8 months are required for sanctioning the grant. And after sanctioning the grant, they give you the grant, and that also takes 1 to 2 months. And once you receive the grant, from that day onwards, usually 3 years period is given to you for completing your research proposal. And if the research project is not completed within 3 years, then
okay, sir,
you should have asked the granting agency to extend your period. Generally they extend, but many times they don't also. You have to justify why you are taking so much time. So this is
okay, sir. Okay.
Up to maximum 5 years extension is given. 5 years total period is given. Maximum. Usually 3 years only. If not complete, then some problems are there. They may extend another 2 years.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
सर मला असं विचारायचं होतं की जसं गुजरातमध्ये टेक्निकल किंवा टेक्नॉलॉजिकल युनिव्हर्सिटीज आहेत, तर त्या रिसर्चसाठी प्रायव्हेट कॉलेजेसच्या टीचर्सला किंवा फॅकल्टीजला फंड्स प्रोव्हाइड करतात रिसर्चसाठी, जसं ACRB म्हणून त्यांचं पोर्टल आहे. त्या धर्तीवर महाराष्ट्रात आपण तसं एखादी एजन्सी आहे का की जिथे आपण अप्लाय करू शकतो? आणि त्याच्यात अजून एक प्रश्न आहे की जनरली आपण एका इन्स्टिट्यूटला जेव्हा अटॅच्ड आहोत तर तिथे वर्क करण्यासाठी ग्रांट मिळू शकते का, की ती मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी किंवा मल्टिपल इन्स्टिट्यूट त्याच्यात इन्व्हॉल्व पाहिजेतच?
नाही, नॉट नेसेसरी. ती ग्रांट नेहमी एकाच इन्स्टिट्यूटला मिळत असते. ग्रांट ही मल्टिपल इन्स्टिट्यूटला एकच ग्रांट मल्टिपल इन्स्टिट्यूटला दिली जात नाही. ग्रांट एकाच इन्स्टिट्यूटला दिली जाते. आणि that institute may affiliate other institute as well if required. फॉर एक्झाम्पल एकच काम करायचं आपल्याला वेगळ्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये करावं लागणार आहे असं असू शकतं ना. की समजा एक्झाम्पल आता तुम्ही एखाद्या औषधाचं स्टॅन्डर्डायझेशन करायचं आहे, ती स्टॅन्डर्डायझेशन मशिनरी तुमच्याकडे नाही आहे, NCL कडे समजा, तर तुमच्याकडे क्लिनिकल स्टडीज आणि स्टँडर्डायझेशनचं काम NCL मध्ये, अजून एखादं काही काम असेल दुसऱ्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये असं असू शकतं, टॉक्सिकल स्टडीज दुसऱ्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये, एक्सपेरिमेंट स्टडीज असं असू शकतं. पण ग्रँट मिळते ते मेन ज्या प्रिन्सिपल इन्स्टिट्यूट ज्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये त्या इन्स्टिट्यूटला ग्रँट मिळते. मग तुम्ही त्यात म्हणायला लागतं की हे आम्ही इथून करून घेऊ, हे आम्ही तिथून करून घेऊ, आणि ज्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये तुम्ही करून घेणार आहात त्यांचं ऍक्सेप्टन्स लागतं की येस वी विल डू दॅट.
ओके.
हा, आणि तुम्ही म्हणजे विचारला प्रश्न विचारला की प्रायव्हेटला मिळतं का वगैरे असेल पर्सनल ग्रँट, पण गव्हर्नमेंट एजन्सी कोणतीही पर्सनल ग्रँट देत नाही. कोणतीच गव्हर्नमेंट एजन्सी पर्सनल, मी तुम्हाला मग फक्त एक उदाहरण सांगा CSIRचं, दॅट इज अन एक्सेप्शन. ती फार मोठी ग्रँट नसते, ती अजून ती स्कीम चालू असेल अजूनही CSIRची, कारण ती त्याचं नावच आहे इनोव्हेटिव्ह इंटरप्रिन्युअर स्कीम म्हणून, त्यामुळे त्याच. पण युजली गव्हर्नमेंट अशी प्रायव्हेट, हा प्रायव्हेट काही फंडिंग एजन्सी असतात, काही प्रायव्हेट एजन्सी की ज्या पर्सनल ग्रँट देतात. त्यांना जर परमिट झालं एखादं प्रपोजल तर मग ते म्हणतात ठीक आहे वी विल गिव्ह यू द ग्रँट. मग त्यांच्या काही अटी असतात किंवा त्यातला फायदा जो आहे तो आम्हाला मिळावा, आम्हाला त्याची असं वगैरे वगैरे वगैरे. म्हणजे टाटा फंडामध्ये TFR आहे, टाटा आहे, किंवा बिल गेट्स फाउंडेशन आहे, किंवा अशा काही एजन्सीज आहेत की ज्या देतात अशा प्रायव्हेट पर्सनल ग्रँट्स देतात. इफ दे आर कन्व्हिन्स्ड येस यू आर डुईंग अ गुड जॉब, बट ऑफकोर्स इट इज व्हेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कन्व्हिन्स देम बिकॉज आफ्टर दे आर प्रायव्हेट एजन्सीज, त्यांना तेवढे कन्व्हिन्स व्हायला पाहिजे.
बरोबर.
गव्हर्नमेंट एजन्सीज पर्सनल ग्रँट्स गव्हर्नमेंट एजन्सी डोंट गिव्ह.
सर
ओके, थँक्यू सर.
सर तुम्ही म्हटलेलं ना ते 4 हे आहेत की मार्च मग सप्टेंबर असं 4 वेळा आपलं ऍप्लिकेशनचं टायमिंग्स आहेत. तर 15 दिवस आधी आपण ऍप्लिकेशनची ड्यू डेटच्या आधी करायचं असंच तुम्ही म्हटलेलं ना
आपल्या इन्स्टिट्यूटमध्ये.
हा, आणि त्यानंतर मग पुन्हा 15 दिवसांनी ते म्हणजे 1 महिना तो पूर्ण हे होईल लास्ट ड्यू डेट पर्यंत पुढे जाईपर्यंत.
हा, काय तुमच्या इन्स्टिट्यूटला काही काम करायला लागतं ना त्याच्यावर, ऑफिसची प्रोसिजर असतं, हे असतं. समजा आता मी सांगितलं की 30 मार्च लास्ट डेट आहे समजा, तर तुम्ही 15 मार्चला केलं तर 15 मार्च 30 मार्च त्याला खरं म्हणजे 8 दिवस मिळतात. 7-8 दिवसामध्ये इन्स्टिट्यूट तुमचं ते हे करतं, प्रोसेस करतं सगळं आणि पाठवतं. म्हणजे 30 मार्च पर्यंत त्या ऑफिसला पोहोचलं पाहिजे ना वरती, त्यामुळे थोडासा वेळ द्यायला लागतो. ऑफिसला तुम्ही वेळ देणार की नाही तुमच्याकडे, अगदी मी लास्ट 30 मार्च 29 मार्चला ऑफिस नाही आता पाठवा, इट मे बी डिफिकल्ट. म्हणून ते 15 दिवस अगोदर हा थोडासा ब्रिदिंग पिरियड पाहिजे ना, ग्रेस पिरियड ठेवला पाहिजे, इन्स्टिट्यूटला दिला पाहिजे ग्रेस पिरियड. आधी लास्ट 11th आवर तुम्ही झालं म्हणा नाही माझं ताबडतोब करा, तर ते इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर देम. बरं तुमचं एकटं प्रपोजल नसतं ना, आणखीन असू शकतात, आणखीन काम असतं इन्स्टिट्यूटला, म्हणून ऍटलीस्ट गिव्ह देम ऍटलीस्ट 15 days टाइम, ब्रिदिंग पिरियड त्यांना द्यायला पाहिजे ना. हे ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशनसाठी सांगतो तुम्हाला, इट्स नॉट कंपल्सरी दॅट इश्यू. तुमच्याकडे असेल एवढी चांगली एफिशियन्सी ओके तुम्ही इश्यू करू शकता, तसं काही नाही. हे तुम्हाला ब्रिदिंग पिरियड सांगितला, तुमच्या कन्व्हिनियन्ससाठी सांगितलं, हाच पिरियड. तुमचं लास्ट डेट संपल्यानंतर तुमच्या हातात काही राहत नाही, लास्ट करायचं दॅट डिपेंड्स ऑन यू. तुमचा पर्पज काय, शेवटी तिथं ते पोहोचलं पाहिजे वेळेच्या आत. तिथे तुम्ही असं म्हणू शकत नाही की नाही बाबा आमचं नाही झालं, आम्हाला थोडं एक्सटेंड करून द्या, दॅट मे नॉट बी पॉसिबल.
ओके सर, थँक्यू.
थँक्यू. एनी अदर?
Anyone else?
ठीक आहे. फक्त एक शेवटचं मला थोडंसं तुम्हाला महत्वाची गोष्ट सांगायची ती अशी, जी चूक नेहमी आपण करतो,
सर अजून एक प्रश्न विचारू का? तुम्ही जसं गाईड केलेलं की ते स्टँडर्डायझेशन आणि सगळं करूनच आपल्याला पुढे जायचं जसं ते अपेक्षित आहे, पण मल्टी काय ते कंटेंट्स पण ड्रग्स चूज नाही करायचं असं तुमचं ऍडवाइस आहे, तर सिंगल एकद्रव्य चिकित्सा रिलेटेड असंच प्रेफर केलेलं चांगलं राहील का रिसर्च मध्ये या ग्रँट साठी?
डेफिनेटली. कारण जितके इन्ग्रेडियंट जास्त तितकं तुमचं स्टँडर्डायझेशन सगळं फार प्रॉब्लेमॅटिक होत जात असतं, त्यामुळे इट इज व्हेरी डिफिकल्ट. त्यामुळे हे स्टेप वाईज करावं नेहमी. जर तुम्हाला मल्टी इन्ग्रेडियंट प्रोजेक्टवर काम करायचं असेल, ड्रग करायचं, तर आधी स्टँडर्डायझेशन एवढंच फक्त घ्यायचं, बाकी काय करायचं, फक्त स्टँडर्डायझेशन. मग ते स्टँडर्डाइज झालं की मग ते स्टँडर्डाइज ड्रगवर पुढचं प्रोजेक्ट घ्यायचं. असं
म्हणजे
स्टेप
तुकड्या तुकड्यांमध्ये आपण हे करायचं,
ऑफकोर्स
फक्त मल्टी ड्रग पण करू शकतो आपण.
करेक्ट 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 हो करू शकता तुम्ही. थोड्या थोड्या स्टेप वाईज जायचं, ते पूर्ण करायचं. मग त्याच्यामध्ये वी हॅव ऑलरेडी स्टँडर्ड ड्रग, त्या स्टँडर्ड ड्रग्सवर आम्ही आता पुढचं काम करतो असं म्हणायचं. म्हणजे ते सोपं जातं.
सर धन्यवाद सर, थँक्यू.
मग त्याला पैसा कमी लागतो, वेळ कमी लागतो असं होतं. हा अजून काही जाई काही आहेत का? हॅलो काही नाही. ओके फाईन. मला हा बोला.
नाही सर तुम्ही
सांगू ना. हा मला तुम्हाला एक एक्सपिरियन्स सांगायचा, फक्त मी काही नावं घेणार नाहीये, पण किती घोळ होतो ते तुम्हाला सांगतो. एक माझ्याकडे प्रपोजल मी जेव्हा दिल्लीला ऍडवायझर असताना एक प्रपोजल आलं होतं. ऑलरेडी ते दिलं गेलेलं प्रपोजल होतं, त्यामुळे मी काही पुढे फार त्यात करू शकलो नाही. प्रॉब्लेम आपल्या लोकांचा काय होतो तुम्हाला सांगतो. आमचे टार्गेट्स क्लिअर नसतात. मगापासून सांगतो मला की डिलिव्हरेबल्स नक्की काय, माइलस्टोन्स निश्चित असले पाहिजेत की हे 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 मी करेन, आणि हे माइलस्टोन्स मेजरेबल असले, दिसले पाहिजे, हे झालं कम्प्लीट. म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल तुम्ही असं म्हणा की मी 100 पेशंट बघणार आहे, हे 100 पेशंटचा डेटा हा 100 पेशंटचा. मी 100 पेशंटचा समजा म्हणजे काय अमुक तो बरा झालाय का नाही हे कसं ठरवणार आहे, ह्याचे ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह माझ्याकडे असलं पाहिजे की हे मी पूर्ण केलं. बघा हे बरं ठरलं होतं, मी जरा ठरलं होतं की बाबा ह्याचं काय ब्लड शुगर लेवल, उदाहरण देतो मी तुम्हाला, तसंच असलं पाहिजे असं नाही. तुम्हाला सहज समजावेत म्हणून मी मॉडर्न मेडिसिनची उदाहरण देतोय. आपल्याला आयुर्वेदाची अशा अनेक उदाहरणं मी तुम्हाला देऊ शकतो, पण तुम्हाला चटकन कळावं म्हणून फक्त सांगतोय. तिथे पण ठरवलं बाबा मी हायपोग्लायसेमिक इफेक्ट बघणार होतो, आणि त्याचं हे रेंज होता, हे रेंज आधी होता, ॲव्हरेज इतकं होतं, इतकं पहिल्यांदा ब्लड शुगर माझ्या पेशंटच्या ग्रुप जो होता त्याचे काय 200 ते 800. आता मी औषध दिलं, 2-4 महिने दिलं, 4 महिन्यानंतर आमचा हे पेशंटचा रेकॉर्ड आहे, त्याची बघा 130 झाली. क्लिअर कट. इतके पेशंट ठरले होते, इतके पेशंट माझे पाहिले, हे कम्प्लीट झालं काम. कळतं मला किंवा तुम्ही केलंय की नाही हे काम. आता तुम्ही जर समजा एक माझ्याकडे असं होतं, त्याच्यामध्ये असं होतं की काय असेसमेंट ऑफ कॅन्सर असं एक ब्रॉड होतं, असेसमेंट ऑफ कॅन्सर, पॅथॉलॉजी ऑफ कॅन्सर वगैरे असं काहीतरी होतं. आणि त्याला ग्रँट मिळाली होती, मोठी ग्रँट होती, चांगली सेंट्रल गव्हर्नमेंटचं प्रपोजल, मोठी ग्रँट. मी उदाहरण कॅन्सर एक उदाहरण देतो तुम्हाला, कॅन्सर असेल असं नाही. आता गंमत बघा तुम्ही, आता कॅन्सर हा किती प्रकाराचा आहे, कोणता कॅन्सर, कुठल्या कॅन्सरचं करणार असेसमेंट, काय असेसमेंट करणार, ते असेसमेंट कम्प्लीट झालं का नाही हे कसं ठरवणार, ह्याच्याविषयी एक शब्दही पूर्ण प्रोजेक्टमध्ये नव्हता, ना त्याच्या प्रपोजलमध्ये होता. आणि ते प्रपोजल कम्प्लीट झालं म्हणून माझ्याकडे सबमिशन झालेलं होतं ते, आणि माझ्याकडे मी आल्यानंतर मी ते पाहायला सुरुवात केली किंवा हे त्यात मला कळतच होतं प्रोजेक्ट कम्प्लीट झालं, कळतच नव्हतं. बरं त्यांनी काय म्हणजे काय कम्प्लीट व्हावं हेही क्लिअर केलेलं नव्हतं. किंवा अमुक अमुक हे झालं म्हणजे कम्प्लीट, किती पेशंट घेणार होता, किती बघणार होता, कोणत्या कॅन्सरचे, किती प्रकारचे, काहीही नव्हतं त्याच्यामध्ये. आणि इट वॉज अ व्हेरी बिग ग्रँट त्या काळातली. इट मे बी म्हणजे जवळजवळ 70-80 लाखाची ग्रँट त्या काळातली होती. त्या काळात म्हणजे ही खूप जुनी गोष्ट आहे, 15-20 वर्षापूर्वीची गोष्ट आहे. आणि गंमत अशी, ते मला कळल्यानंतर मी आपल्या त्या माणसाला एकदा असंच सहज कुठे भेट झाली, त्या ग्रस्ताची, ओळखीचे होते, त्यामुळे त्याला नाव त्याला म्हटलं बाबा की तुमचं इन्स्टिट्यूट वगैरे चांगली आहे, तुम्ही हे काही बरोबर केलं नाही, तुम्ही असं करा की हे जरा या पद्धतीने करून द्या, ते थोडंसं काय ग्रँट्स आहे अमुक आहे तमुक वगैरे वगैरे. ते मला म्हणले मी नाही करणार, म्हणजे माझं काम हे असंच आहे. आपण असं नका करू, तुम्हाला पुढची ग्रँट मिळणार नाही, नाही मिळत चालेल म्हणले. मला नाव मोठं होतं. आणि मग ते रखडलं की, म्हणलं ठीक आहे, आता तुमची इच्छा ही असेल त्याला करणार काय. आणि मग त्याच्यावर कॉमेंट्स माझे गेले, त्यानंतर पाहिलं सगळं, त्याचं काहीही झालेलं काम नव्हतं, म्हणजे डिलिव्हरेबल्स नव्हते. आणि मग 10 वेळेला पर्यंत त्यांना कळलं नाही सिरियस त्या गोष्टीचा. नंतर ते मला सारखं म्हणाले की सर ते करून द्या ना, तसं करून द्या. दिस इज नॉट पॉसिबल. मला सांगायचा मुद्दा हा आहे की डिलिव्हरेबल्स क्लिअर कट असली पाहिजे, वेग काही असता कामा नये. वेगनेस शुड नॉट बी देअर. किती पेशंट बघणार, त्यांचं काय बघणार, आणि ते कंप्लीट झालं हे तुम्ही कसं ठरवणार, हे तुम्हाला म्हटलं पाहिजे, कळलं पाहिजे, सांगता आलं पाहिजे, आधीच सांगायला पाहिजे. आणि ते कंप्लीट झाले. तुम्ही आता तुम्हाला सांगितलं तुमचा उद्देश काय बाबा. एक उदाहरण तुम्हाला सांगतो. एक पेशंट आहे समजा, तुम्ही समजा पॅरालिसिसच्या पेशंटवर काम करतात आणि तुम्ही असं ठरवत की एक पॅरालिसचा पेशंट आहे, तो बरा झाला की नाही ठरवण्याचा उद्देश काय बाबा. तो बेडवर पूर्ण बेड रिटर्न होता, आता तो 1 किलोमीटर पर्यंत चालू शकतो, इतकं तो चालला विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट. ओके फाईन, क्लिअर कट दिसतंय झालंय की नाही ते, म्हणजे ते एव्हिडन्सेस आहेत. काही नुसतं बरा झाला, तो म्हणतो बरा झाला, कसं कळणार बरा झाला की नाही तो. तुम्ही पाहिलं का नाही हे कळायला काही मार्ग नाहीये. म्हणजे तुमचं जे काम आहे ते दिसलं पाहिजे, मोजता कळलं पाहिजे की हे काम पूर्ण झालंय की नाही. कसं व्हायचं समोरच्या, आता इथे तर पैसे देणार आहोत ना, पैसे दिल्यानंतरच पैसे कळणार की काम कम्प्लीट झालंय की नाही, बघणार की नाही माणूस समोरचा. जो माणूस पैसे देणार आहे तो पाहणार की नाही की मी ज्यासाठी पैसे दिलेले आहेत ते काम झालंय की नाही. तुम्ही तुमच्या घराला रंग द्यायला सांगितला तर पेंटरने रंग दिला पूर्ण केलाय की नाही हे बघणार की नाही, तुम्ही खात्री करणार, बघणार कुठे बाबा हे बघ इथे राहिले इथे राहिले इथे राहिले म्हणणार की नाही तुम्ही. साधी गोष्ट आहे. तसं ज्या गोष्टीसाठी तुम्हाला दिलेलं आहे ते तुम्ही करत नाही ते कसं चालणार. म्हणजे सांगतच नाही, म्हणजे काय करायचं हेही सांगत नाही. आता खरं म्हणजे देताना द्यायला नको होती ग्रँट अशा प्रकारची. अनफॉर्च्युनेटली आपल्याकडे प्रॉब्लेम, अजून एक गव्हर्नमेंट एजन्सीमध्ये प्रॉब्लेम काय, बऱ्याच ठिकाणी प्रॉब्लेम आहे. म्हणजे तो असा आहे की ह्या ग्रँट दिल्या जातात. समजा ग्रँट देणारी एक कमिटी असते, कारण या कमिटीचा कार्यकाल जो असतो ना, एक कमिटी समजा ह्या कमिटीचा कार्यकाल असतो 3 वर्षाचा, मॅक्झिमम 5 वर्षात. समजा आपण घेऊन चालू 5 वर्षाची कमिटी असते. ती 5 वर्षामध्ये कमिटी वेगळ्या दरवर्षी किती ग्रँट देत असते. आता त्यांनी ग्रँट दिलेले प्रोजेक्ट त्यांच्याच काळात पूर्ण होतील असं नाही ना. त्या कमिटीचा कार्यकाळ संपतो आणि दुसरी कमिटी येते. आता दुसरी कमिटी आली की पहिली जे ग्रँट दिलेली असते, जे प्रपोजल असते त्याचे सबमिशन करता येतात, ते बघतात, ते नवीन काहीतरी काढतात. और हे तुम्ही केलं नाही ते म्हणतात. उदाहरणार्थ जर शास्त्राचं एक द्रव्य शोधन हे असं करत असतं शोधन, खरं म्हणजे मागच्या कमिटीने साक्षर केलेलं असतं, शोधन पाहिलेलं असतं ते, किंवा हे बरोबर आहे म्हणून, किंवा जे काय असेल ते मार्ग. ते असं नाही, तर नवीन एक्सपर्ट बसले असतो, नाही हे चुकीची पद्धत आहे, दुसरी हे चुकलं तुमचं. ह्या आणखी एक घोळ आहे. गंमत अशी आहे की आमच्यामध्ये एवढं कन्फ्युजन आहे आम्हा लोकांच्या मध्ये की काही सांगता येत नाही. म्हणून आपण सबमिशन करत असताना नेहमी जर क्लिअर कट आपले माइलस्टोन्स जर ठेवले, आपल्याला त्यांना उत्तर देता यायला पाहिजे की हे बघा तुम्ही हे मला आता विचारू शकत नाही, मी हे आधी सांगितलं होतं की असं करणार आहे, हे बघा तुम्ही मंजुरी दिली तुमच्या कमिटीने, आता मला तुम्ही म्हणू नका हे बरोबर चुकीचं आहे, तुम्ही तेव्हाच नाही सांगितलं मला, त्याला बोलायला जागा राहत नाही. पण इतकी ॲम्बिग्युटी असते, कुठे ते म्हटलेलं नसतं, करता कम्प्लीट. एक काही ठिकाणी काही असं होतं की एका ग्रहस्थानी कुठलं तरी एक तेल तयार केलं होतं, मला त्यांचं नाव आठवत नाही, चांगले आणि हे मोठ्या मोठ्या इन्स्टिट्यूट आहेत बरं का. एक कुठलं तरी तेल तयार केलं होतं आणि ते तेलाचं प्रोजेक्ट कम्प्लीट झालं म्हणून आमच्याकडे पैसे मागायला आले. आता ते तेल तयार करण्याची खरं म्हणजे तो पाक म्हणजे सूर्यपाकी तेल होतं, त्याची प्रोसिजर होती ते पाठामध्ये सूर्यपाकी. ह्या पठ्ठ्याने त्याला अग्निपाकी करून टाकलं. आता ते ग्रस्त आयुर्वेदाचं नव्हतं, त्याला कोणीतरी सांगितलं म्हणजे नाही आम्ही आयुर्वेद लोकांना दाखवलं होतं, मग म्हणे त्यांनी केलेलं आहे आम्हाला, हे आम्ही तसं केलं तर. अरे म्हणलं बाबा हे प्रपोजल चुकलंच सगळंच. जे सूर्यपाकी तेल आहे ते उन्हात ठेवून करायचं होतं, ते तू त्याला आग देऊन केलंच तयार, कसं काय बोलायचं बरं झालं बरोबर. हे असला घोळ असतो. एक तर आपलं ज्ञान एवढं अचाट आहे आम्हाला लोकांचं सगळ्यांचं की आम्ही तो श्लोक धड वाचत नाही, काही नाही, आणि काहीतरी समजून ते खालचं हिंदी ट्रान्सलेशन वाचतो, ते बऱ्याच वेळा चुकीचंच असतं आणि त्याप्रमाणे आम्ही करतो, सगळा घोळ होतो. तुम्हाला गंमत सांगतो, अगस्त्य हरित केवले, मला आता बहुतेक मला असं नीट आठवत नाही, अगस्त्य हरित केवलेमध्ये जो डोस आहे त्याचा मात्रा आहे तो 1 हरडा 2 हरडा असं थोडं आहे. ते हरडे पूर्ण घ्यायचे, हरड्याचा पावडर करून काढा करून टाकायचा नाहीये त्याच्यामध्ये, तर पूर्ण अख्खा हरडा त्यात टाकायचा आणि तो डोस 1 हरडा घ्या म्हणून ते हरडा आणि आवले असं दोन्ही घेऊन एकत्र करून खायचा. ह्या बाबाने पूर्ण त्या हरडा कापून टाकला, पूर्णच्या पूर्ण त्याचा काढा तयार केला, पार्टिकल केला आणि केला ते अगस्त्य तयार केला, ते सांगा 10 ग्रॅम डोस म्हणून. कसं ऍक्सेप्ट करायचं मला सांगा तुम्ही. म्हणजे हे असल्या काहीतरी भयानक चुका करतात, त्याला मागे जाता येत नाही, काय करावं बरं. आमचे विद्वान एवढी मंडळी असते की मागच्या कमिटीने मंजूर केलं असतं न बघताच, अशा करायचं काय.
आमच्या फार्माकोपियामध्ये एक ह्याचा पाठ आहे, तुम्हाला सांगतो अजून एक पिंडचर्याचा पाठ आहे. उदाहरण सांग, मला वाटतं बाकी लोकांना माहिती असेल. पिंडचर्याच्या पाठामध्ये अष्टांग हृदयाचा पाठ आहे. तो पाठ असा आहे, तो 2 भागामध्ये विभागलेला आहे. वरती त्याने तेल तयार करण्याची प्रक्रिया सांगितली आणि खालचे द्रव्य वरच्या तेलामध्ये मिसळून त्याचा पिंड करून वापरायचा, असं आहे ते. ह्या बाबांनी फार्माकोपियामध्ये पाठ येतो आमच्या फार्मॉलॉजीमध्ये, वरचं पूर्ण उडून टाकलं ते तेल करण्याची प्रक्रिया आणि खालच्या द्रव्याने ते सिद्ध करून ते पिंड तयार म्हणून केला तयार. आणि फार्मसी बाहेरचे ते पिंड तरी मार्केटमध्ये बघा तुम्ही आता. काय करायचं होतं, जे आम्ही एवढे निष्काळजी आहोत की काही विचारता सोय नाही, धड वाचत नाही, बघत नाही, आंधळेप्रमाणे समोरचा माणूस म्हणेल लिहिलेलं असतं त्याच्यावर विश्वास ठेव. रिसर्च पेपर, त्या रिसर्च पेपर असं म्हटलं, अरे ते चुकलंय ना, त्याचं काय, त्यांनी केलेलं स्टेटमेंट चुकलं, डोस चुकले ना, त्यांनी डोस वापरला नाही, त्याचाच डोस चुकलाय ना, तू काय सांगतो डोसचं. त्या भाषेचे सेवन कालाचा विचार करत नाही, मात्रेचा विचार करत नाही, धड कोण त्यांनी केलं, मग आम्ही तेच करणार. अरे एक खड्ड्यात पडला म्हणून तुम्ही खड्ड्यातच पडणार का? तुम्ही रिसर्चर आहात ना, सायंटिस्ट आहात ना, मी विद्यार्थ्याचं समजू शकतो, पण तुमचं काय? एका आमच्या भाषेच्या कल्पनेच्या पुस्तकेमध्ये तुम्हाला उदाहरण म्हणून सांगतो की एक हे आहे, ह्याचा पाठ आहे, कशाचा, षडंग पाणीचा. त्या षडंग पाणीच्या पाठामध्ये मुस्तपर्पट कोशिर चंदनोदिच्च नागरे असा तो पाठ आहे. त्या पुस्तकामध्ये त्याने काय केलं, रक्तचंदन आणि श्वेतचंदन असं लिहून मोकळे झाले. आणि आमचे सगळे पोरं जर्नलमध्ये लिहितात श्वेतचंदन, रक्तचंदन. म्हणजे ह्याच्यात 2 चंदन आहेत कुठे? ते म्हणजे चंदनो आहे म्हणले. अरे म्हणजे ते चंदन उदिच, चंदन आणि उदिच्च आहे, ते चंदन रक्तचंदन नाहीये. सगळ्या जर्नल्स मध्ये चंदन, श्वेतचंदन, रक्तचंदन, श्वेतचंदन, रक्तचंदन. उदिच्चचा अर्थ काय? गप्प. हे अशी गंमत आहे, म्हणजे काय काय म्हणायचं आता मला तुम्ही सांगा, याला काही आन्सर आहे का? हे असले प्रकार करू नका. तुम्ही जे काही करता ते नीट समजून घ्या, वाचा, खालच्या ह्याच्यावर विश्वास ठेवू नका, 4 लोकांना विचारा, नीट डोकं वापरा, आपलं गहाण ठेवू नका त्या ट्रान्सलेटरवर, नीट पहा आणि मग करा. पेपर्सवर सुद्धा अजिबात विश्वास ठेवू नका. पब्लिश पेपर अजिबात, मी तर म्हणतो इव्हन गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया पब्लिश त्याच्यावर विश्वास नका ठेवू, चुकलेलं आहे सगळं. एक माशा, तुम्हाला उदाहरण सांगतो साधी गोष्ट, एक माशाचं किती 1 ग्रॅम घेता तुम्ही, होतच नाही 1 ग्रॅम. चतुर्गुण प्रमाणाने बघा काय येतं, विचार करा बरं काय होतं ते. नाही, चतुर्गुण प्रमाणाने 750 मिलीग्रॅमचा एक माशा होतो. 700 मिलीग्रॅम सगळीकडे 1 ग्रॅम 1 ग्रॅम 1 ग्रॅम ग्रॅम. तुम्ही करताना उलट म्हणा की हे चुकलेलं आहे, दाखवून द्या ना की हे या पद्धतीने चुकलेलं आहे, हे असं तुम्ही म्हणा, लिहिताना घ्या ना तुम्ही की ह्याच्यात हे म्हटलेलं असलं तरी ऍक्च्युली हे असं आहे, यू हॅव टू जस्टिफाय दॅट. असं आहे. त्यामुळे तुम्ही, मला म्हणायचं एवढंच आहे की यू आर ए सायंटिस्ट आणि बिहेव लाईक ए सायंटिस्ट. डोंट बिकम ए ब्लाइंड फॉलोअर. कुणाचे शिष्य बनण्याचा अजिबात प्रयत्न करू नका, बनू नका शिष्य. तुम्ही शिष्य बनायचंच असेल तर स्वतःच्या सत्सद विवेक बुद्धीचे शिष्य व्हा, म्हणजे मग ते व्यवस्थितपणे जमतं. ठीक आहे, ओके, थँक्यू. मला वाटतं पुरेसं आहे. थँक्यू, तुम्ही खूप बराच वेळ माझी बडबड ऐकून घेतली. मेनी थँक्स. जाई, कन्क्लूड.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for such a experienced and personable presentation. And as we are towards the end of the session, that is vote of thanks. I would like to thank our respected guest speaker, Dr. Savrikar sir, for taking the time out from his schedule and for excellent presentation. We wish your support in future also, sir. Then I would like to thank our chairman, respected Dr. G.D.POL sir, for continuous support, our dean, Dr. Sanjeev Yadav sir, and our vice dean, Dr. Ninath Sathe sir. Then I would like to thank the technical team which always support us in any online events. And in the end, I would like to thank all the teachers, PG students and PhD students for their patient listening. And now I declare that the session is over. So thank you all of you. Thank you, sir.